What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 3p. Chapter 41 Blackbeard. Advertise here. On the other side, Sumu and Rayleigh walked slowly towards the east of the island. It looks like that old Whitebeard has arrived on the battlefield. Rayleigh felt that the rhythm of the battle ahead had changed, and there was a natural overbearing and royal atmosphere permeating it. Well, although his speed is not fast, it is enough to reach the battlefield in a few minutes. Now, Blackbeard is probably peeing his pants. Sumu teased. Blackbeard was not afraid of Whitebeard at first, but during the Summit War, the dying Whitebeard taught him an almost fatal lesson. Since then, Whitebeard has been the shadow of Blackbeard. He desperately occupied Whitebeard's territory, wanted to take everything in Whitebeard for himself, and also because he was afraid of Whitebeard's heart. Now that Whitebeard is resurrected, Blackbeard doesn't freak out when he sees him. Haha, I'm really wondering now, how will Marine react when he finds out about the resurrection of Whitebeard and Ace? Especially the old guy Sengoku, will he lament that all the achievements of the Summit War are in vain? Rayleigh also became mischievous, imagining this funny and exciting scene in his mind. Sengoku and Akainu must be crying. The battle they worked so hard to arrange was completely overturned by you. Life is such a drama. Rayleigh sighed, and couldn't help but look at Sumu next to him. This guy is too simple. With his appearance, the pattern of the entire sea will change accordingly. Who is he? This made Rayleigh curious, and Sumu didn't answer the call at this time, because he was clearing his mind, the sign in reward triggered by the system for resurrecting Whitebeard. Ding, sign in on Whitebeard's forehead, speed +8, strength +8, body strength +8, combat awareness +8. Additional rewards include Demon Wings, an additional reward of Devil Fruit Ability Development Booster, and additional rewards of 12 Craftsman Supreme Big Fast Knife, Mysterious Heavy Knife. Additional Activation System Backpack, which can store inanimate items. Sumu looked at the introduction of Demon Wings, and his eyes lit up. This is really a sleepy pillow. He wanted a skill that could fly over the sea before, and now it can finally be realized. The Devil's Wings are like an extra skill, he can use it directly, like an eagle on the sea, with a pair of devil-like wings, soaring recklessly, with amazing speed. The Devil Fruit Ability Enhancer is also what he urgently needs at present, because his ability to revive Devil Fruit needs to be improved again. He made a deal with Rayleigh to revive Luogia. However, Luogia is different from Whitebeard. He has been dead for 20 years, and his body must have disappeared. It is estimated that there are not much bones left. This kind of resurrection is more difficult. It can only be realized if the fruit ability is improved and awakened. As for the Supreme Sharp Knife, it is also extremely rare. There are only 12 in the whole world, which is too rare. He didn't read the introduction of the knife carefully, and left it to study later when he had time. The system backpack is equivalent to giving him a space storage ring, allowing him to store items at will and access them at any time, which is much more convenient. The island where Whitebeard's hometown is located, Eastport Battlefield. Whitebeard's eyes were firm, and he held Kong Yunchi in his hand, going to kill Blackbeard. This time, he will never show mercy. With a flash of sword light, Shiryu of the Rain drew his sword, and the clear sky suddenly began to rain. Thin and penetrating, with all-conquering sharpness, the rain fell from the sky and enveloped Whitebeard. Ding ding ding. The rain was his sword light, like a slash. When it was about to fall on Whitebeard's body, a blue flame phoenix spread its wings and soared over Whitebeard, blocking all the rain like sword lights. Shiryu of the Rain, our king cannot be disturbed, your opponent is me. Marco said condescendingly to Shiryu. The next moment, Badgers jumped up and came to Whitebeard, raised his elbow, and the shock wave hit Whitebeard hard. Boom. Dazzling white flames flickered, Ace came second and sent Badgers flying with a punch. It's not your turn to meddle in Dad's fight. Ace taught Badgers a cold lesson. Call out. Suddenly, a bullet with armament hockey was fired when everyone's eyes were attracted by Marco, Ace and others, and went directly towards Whitebeard's eyebrows. Sonic Lafitte raised his gun and took the opportunity to attack suddenly. Diamond Jazzy snorted coldly, dodged directly in front of Whitebeard, and knocked away Armament Hockey's bullet with his diamond-like body. As for the rest of the Blackbeard pirates, just as they were about to act, the captains of the Whitebeard pirates stopped them, and no one could intervene in the battle between Whitebeard and Blackbeard. Whitebeard, you have just been resurrected, and your body is not in good condition. It cannot support you to fight for a long time. The you are today cannot kill me. Blackbeard got up from the ground, observed Whitebeard's body carefully, and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. As the Black Ninja Turtle, he is patient and observant. Just now he was slashed by Whitebeard hockey, which made him terrified, but now that he has regained his composure, he gradually regained his senses. Whitebeard didn't say a word, walked up to Blackbeard, raised his knife and cut it. There is not much to say now. Blackbeard dodges and no longer confronts Whitebeard head-on. He is young and in good physical condition, so he delays tactics. I have to say that this strategy is very good. After 10 minutes of fighting, Whitebeard began to breathe. Thief, ha ha ha. Is your terminally ill body finally tired? Blackbeard laughed, and the shock ability of his right hand suddenly blasted at Whitebeard. Teach, the shock ability is wasted in your hands, let me teach you how to use it. Whitebeard threw Kong Yunchi heavily into the sky, clasped his hands together like a sledgehammer, and smashed towards Blackbeard forcefully. Boom! Blackbeard vomited blood and flew backwards, hastily using his dark ability to offset the shock wave of his shock ability. But even so, he felt his insides churn, and he was almost blown out by Whitebeard. If it wasn't for his queen mother, this blow would have cost him dearly. Sure enough, Whitebeard is much better than Blackbeard in using the shock ability. It seems that you are the same as Ace. After resurrection, even if you don't have devil fruit, you still have the fruit ability in life. However, the shaking ability is still restrained by the dark ability. Blackbeard wiped the corners of his mouth, clapped his hands on the ground, and shouted, "Dark hole." With him as the center, hundreds of meters in a radius were shrouded in darkness, some objects began to sink in the darkness, and then were crushed into ashes. This is one of the strongest moves of Blackbeard's dark ability, but anyone who falls into this dark range will not only be eroded by the power of darkness, but also the fruit ability will be temporarily invalid. Whitebeard was already in the darkness. Blackbeard seized the opportunity and rushed forward at a high speed. The power of shock bloomed between his fists, attacking Whitebeard when he was eroded by the darkness. Thieves, ha ha ha. The dark ability can restrain all abilities, and I have double fruits, and I am invincible in attack and defense. Blackbeard laughed, and after the initial panic and frustration, he now felt he had the upper hand. This time, he didn't need anyone else to help him, and defeated Whitebeard with his true strength. His fist has already hit Whitebeard's chest, and the shock ability will explode, causing Whitebeard's already bad body to be collapsed by the powerful shock ability. That's what Blackbeard wanted. Once Whitebeard's body breaks down, he'll be as focused and powerless as he was in Summit War. Teach, you still haven't overcome these 2 points of ego and rashness. Now, it's time to pay the price. Whitebeard's monster-like body insisted on holding on to his shock ability and refused to budge even an inch. Even though his chest was deformed by the attack, it still didn't make him retreat half a point. He raised his hands, and Kong Yunchi landed from the sky, just falling into his hands. Click. Whitebeard slashed down hard, and Kong Yunchi rushed past Blackbeard's waist with a hellish killing intent in Blackbeard's terrified eyes. Blackbeard was cut in half. Chapter 42 The Secret of Blackbeard's Body. Advertise here. Whitebeard's long-planned attack finally succeeded. He had already foreseen this scene since he threw Kong Yunchi heavily into the sky. He knew Blackbeard all too well, egotism and indiscretion, fatal flaws that he could never get rid of. Today, the shortcomings are infinitely magnified by Whitebeard and cut down with a knife. Everyone looked at this scene, all stunned in place. Blackbeard made a big fuss about Impel Down, Summit War captured Whitebeard Shock Fruit, and Dahai captured most of Whitebeard's territory in just over a month, and it has become a trend of 4 emperors. As long as he defeats Marco and others today, he will definitely become one of the new 4 emperors. However, such characters were cut in half today. As for the man holding Kong Yunchi, even though he was in poor physical condition, once he became ruthless, it would be truly terrifying, and he would behead all heroes like Blackbeard. The strongest man in the world is indeed terrifying. Daddy won. Good kill. Marco shouted excitedly, and the others also became excited. The revenge of Summit War has finally been avenged. No. Isn't it? The Admiral boss died. Badger stammered, unable to believe their boss had died so quickly. He is the possessor of double fruit ability. In this world, he has not found the second person with such a strange body. This is too bad. I finally went to sea. I didn't expect that my pirate career will end after only a month or so. Shiryu of the Rain sighed, it has only been more than a month since he defected to Blackbeard. They wanted to rush to the throne of One Piece with Blackbeard and reach Raftel, but before they set sail, they stopped abruptly. The 2 halves of Blackbeard's body were cut by Whitebeard, and he rolled to the ground without moving. And Blackbeard's expression was frozen at the moment of horror. Boom. Whitebeard withdrew the knife, and Kong Yunchi re-implanted on the ground, supporting his body so that he would not fall down. But his face turned pale, he gasped for breath, and his heart was in severe pain, like a knife stirring. The blow just now consumed too much of his haki and energy, and it also put a serious burden on his body. Inevitably, his physical injuries relapsed after intense fighting, just as in the Summit War. Only this time it was more serious, because his heart had just been punched by Blackbeard. This caused a crack to appear in his heart, developing towards an irreversible trend. Su-Mu revived him and recovered 80% of his body, but did not cure his terminal illness in the future. Thump. In the end, Whitebeard still couldn't hold on, the torn hole in his heart was getting bigger and bigger, and he fell down in pain with his stalwart body. Father. Marco was the first to rush over. He is a doctor, so he immediately noticed the abnormality of Whitebeard's body and the injury of his heart, which made him feel sad. For him, there was no cure. He carefully placed his hand on Whitebeard's heart, and nourished it with the flames of the phoenix, preventing the heart from deteriorating further, but it could not help repair it. Unless, Rooney can operate on Whitebeard's heart here. Suddenly, the earth shook, as if an earthquake was about to occur. This is the ability to shake. Dad is lying here, could it be? Ace felt this power, analyzed it for a while, then frowned and looked at the 2 halves of Blackbeard's body. At this time, black air permeated between the two halves of the body, connecting the two halves of the body together. Can't dark fruit be elementalized? What's going on? Ace was puzzled. Besides, Dad's knife just now used both the armed color and the conqueror's hockey. Even if it is elementalized, it will definitely die if it is cut in half. Marco also seemed incomprehensible. However, the facts were before his eyes. The black air pierced through the two halves of the body, pulling them together. After the black air disappeared, Blackbeard stood intact in front of the crowd. His face was a bit ugly, but he became excited again in an instant. Thief, ha ha ha. Whitebeard, you say I am conceited and reckless, so what? Now, you are down, it is impossible to fight again, but I am standing in front of you completely. Blackbeard raised his hands and shouted passionately, you don't know me at all. Behind him, everyone in the Blackbeard pirates was overjoyed, and they became excited one by one. Is there anything more shocking than this? It was clearly cut into two halves, but it healed itself, returning to its original integrity. This is Blackbeard, their captain, to be feared. Blackbeard took a step and walked towards the fallen Whitebeard, Ace and others. Behind him, the Blackbeard pirates were watching. Looking at this posture, there is great momentum to continue fighting, take the opportunity to kill Whitebeard, and destroy the Whitebeard pirate group. Teach. Cough cough. I should have thought that your body is different from ordinary people and definitely hides secrets. Whitebeard sat up with the support of everyone, looked at Blackbeard coldly and said. Thief, ha ha ha. I am a member of the Marshall family, a special group in the D family. What runs in our family blood is the ability of the three-headed hell dog. I have 3 lives. Blackbeard proudly revealed his secret, because he knew that even if everyone knew the secret, it would be impossible to know the past of the Marshall family, let alone the past of the D family. Everyone will only fear him more, this is what he wants. The whole world is very curious about why I have double fruits. This is unprecedented. In fact, they don't even know that, thousands of years ago, everyone in the Marshall family could have double or even triple fruits. As Blackbeard walked towards Whitebeard, he continued, an ordinary person can only eat 1 devil fruit at most. If he eats 2, his body will be unable to bear the strength and explode. But I have 3 lives, and it is nothing to have double fruits. Strange. His eyes glowed, he stared at Marco and said, Marco, you are also my target. If Ace and Whitebeard didn't show up today, I might have taken the fruit from you at this time. His words sent chills down Marco's spine. Blackbeard, so vicious. Whitebeard, I admit that you are a monster. The enmity between you and me is now wiped out, because you just killed my life. Blackbeard's eyes were full of hatred, his hands were clenched, and he was about to fight again. Now he only has 2 lives left, and he can only have 2 fruits, which made his ambition have to be slowed down. Whitebeard, no matter what today, I will kill you. Get up again if you have the ability, I have 2 lives, and I will consume you to death. Blackbeard's left hand turned black smoke, and his right hand's shock ability appeared, menacing. So it's Marshall's dog family, very good. Are you going to kill Whitebeard? Try it. Su Emu's voice came from not far away, full of contempt. Chapter 43 Black Dog, this bone is for you. Advertise here. Su Mu and Rayleigh finally came to the battlefield slowly, and when he heard Blackbeard's arrogant self-introduction, Su Emu's face turned cold. The Marshall family, the traitors of the D group, seem to have the blood of the 3-headed dog. What is the difference between dogs? However, Blackbeard also has a nickname, that is the Black Ninja Turtle. However, Su Mu prefers to call him a black dog. Therefore, when Blackbeard was arrogant, Su Mu also laughed mercilessly. Who are you? Are you courting death? Blackbeard looked at the people who came to laugh at him, his veins bulged, and he was extremely angry. He hated dogs above all else, and hated it when someone insulted the Marshalls as dogs. Although few people know this secret, this is his reverse scale. Many times, when someone mentioned a dog, he would kill that person. This is a very contradictory psychology. I am proud of having the blood of the 3-headed dog of hell, but I don't want to be called a dog. Perhaps, he thought the dog was too insulting. This is so bullying to the dog. When Blackbeard was angry with Su Mu, he glanced out of the corner of his eye and saw Rayleigh beside Su Mu. Pluton Rayleigh, the deputy of One Piece. Blackbeard's pupils shrank, this is a big man, known as the strongest vice-emperor. Pluton's name was also punched by him abruptly. Blackbeard was confident of beating Marco, but definitely not sure of beating Rayleigh. Even, he can't guarantee whether he can remain unbeaten against Rayleigh. Rayleigh and this strange man came together, obviously they were in the same group, which made Blackbeard's face serious, and immediately suppressed the anger just now, so as to calm himself down. Let's not say who I am, I really want to hear your arrogant words again. Su Mu tapped her ears with her fingers, indicating that she didn't hear it just now. This is a naked provocation. Bastard, what cat and dog dare to laugh at the boss? Badgers yelled at Su Mu. But the next moment, he felt Blackbeard's murderous gaze. Badgers picks up the dog in front of Blackbeard and puts him with the dog. It was just another insult to Blackbeard. Let me kill you. Badgers obviously knew that he had said something wrong, so he was eager to show his attitude with actions. Kill those who mocked Blackbeard, maybe Blackbeard would not hold grudges against him. He rushed towards Su Mu with a bang, and the huge force stepped on the ground to create a big hole. Badgers is the captain of Blackbeard's first ship, and he is extremely powerful, at least he has the qualifications to compete with Shichibukai. In particular, a special shock wave is installed on his elbow, imitating shock fruit, which is extremely powerful. He jumped in the air and raised his elbow, condescendingly slammed at Su Mu. The flames on Ace's body surged, and a pair of flame wings spread out to block Badgers, but Whitebeard stretched out his hand and pressed them down. There's no need to help, Badgers is asking for trouble and death. Whitebeard said lightly. Ace's eyes widened, and he turned to look at Su Mu. Could it be that this guy with magical resurrection power is also so terrifying? Of course, he can see the strength of Badgers, and he almost has the combat power of his previous summit war. At this time, Badgers fell from the sky, shaking his elbow, only a few meters away from Su Mu. Rayleigh didn't move now, and even watched the show with his arms folded. He doesn't need to do this kind of role, he completely believes that Su Mu can handle it. And he knew that Su Mu must show his skills in front of everyone, otherwise how could he convince them? Since Su Mu wants to accept Whitebeard, he will definitely be protested by Marco and others. Whitebeard is their king, the strongest man in the world, how could he obey others' orders? Even if Whitebeard said yes, they won't agree either. Su Mu stretched out his hand, and suddenly, a slender, white sword appeared in his hand. Now, Su Mu's sword and other inanimate things can be thrown into the system backpack, and when needed, they can be summoned with just one thought. The snow-white long sword was in his hand, making a clear sound, as if he was extremely excited, as if he hadn't fought for a long time. The flow is wanton. Su Mu swung his sword, and countless snow-white sword lights flickered, drowning Badgers swooping down from the sky in an instant. Boom! The menacing Badgers fell to the ground with a bang, his whole body was bloody, and he was cut by countless sword lights of the flowing sword. But the wound was not serious, it was Su Mu who stopped it on purpose. Killing the enemy with one move doesn't seem to be able to show his full strength. Since he wants to convince the crowd, he must let them know his abilities in all aspects. Badgers got up from the ground in embarrassment, feeling tingling pain everywhere in his body, but it was all skin trauma. He couldn't help sneering, if the opponent's strength is so small, he would completely defeat me again. The blow just now was just a mistake, and there was no way to avoid the sword light in the air. This time, he covered armament hockey over his hands and charged directly at Su Mu. He has already made a plan to use his armed wrist to shoot the sword light away, and then fight Su Mu at close range to defeat Su Mu in one fell swoop. Ideal is full, it's just that he hadn't run 2 steps before he bumped his head against the transparent barrier, smashed his head, and almost fainted to the ground. Around him, a transparent cover covered him inside, and he was hit by the wall of this transparent cover just now. HMPH, I can break even an iron plate, let alone a broken cover. Badgers didn't take it seriously, raised his elbow, and slammed into the space cage with his most ferocious attack. Clang! There was a loud noise, and the space cage was still intact, but Badgers was rebounded by his own powerful force, and his whole arm clicked. It's off. Ah! My arm! Badgers screamed, crossing his arms. His true strength is close to that of Shichibukai, but even Shichibukai needs 10 hits to break through the space cage. Shiryu! Blackbeard motioned. Call out. Shiryu drew his sword, and the rain appeared, falling from a high altitude at a high speed, rushing towards the space cage, trying to break through it with the light of the sword. Guan Gong is playing big swords in front of him. Su Mu shook his head, the white light of the streamer sword flickered, and as he danced, countless sword lights shot up into the sky, evaporating the rainwater from the noodles. Let's end it. Su Mu shook hands, the spatial cage shrank, and then emitted a dazzling light. Then, explode. Space blast. There was a loud noise, and waiting for the dazzling light to disappear, Badgers fell to the ground miserably with only his broken arms and limbs. This is also the move to kill Wabel. No one here has seen the power of space ability. Under the horrified eyes of everyone, Su Mu walked towards Badger's broken body, and used her feet to pull out the remaining long leg bones of Badger's. Black Dog, this bone is your reward. With a light kick, Su Mu kicked Badger's leg bone towards Blackbeard. Chapter 44 The Blackbeard Regiment fled, and the Whitebeard Regiment reappeared in the sea. Advertise here. Burgess bones were kicked by Su Mu and landed directly at Blackbeard's feet. There was still flesh and blood on the bones, and they looked extremely fat. If the dog sees it, its eyes will definitely shine. Hurry up while it's hot. Su Mu pointed to the bone, and said to Blackbeard with a teasing smile. Blackbeard's face was gloomy, and he didn't speak anymore, but his face was already blue with anger, and his whole body trembled. Su Mu sneered in his heart. What he wanted was for Blackbeard to lose his composure and attack him. At that time it would be very difficult for Blackbeard to retreat. Now, Blackbeard and others are very close to the coast. If they escape by fleeing by sea, it will be really difficult to hunt them down. Sure enough, black smoke was rising from Blackbeard's body. This was the power of dark fruit, and he couldn't control his power to kill Su Mu. As far as he is concerned, he has no fear of anyone but Rayleigh. Even Rayleigh, he's just jealous, I'm not sure how to deal with it. So rushing towards Su Mu, attacking from the dark cave. The 100-meter radius is covered in darkness, and to envelop Su Mu, one must first restrain his weird space ability. The next moment, he swung his fist, and his shocking ability exploded, attacking Su Mu, trying to shake him into scum. Shock ability. This is really tricky. Su Mu originally wanted to use space concealment to avoid it, but found that the space was vibrating, and he couldn't use space concealment. Even other space moves were greatly affected. The ability to shake and shake actually has a limiting effect on his spatial ability. However, it is only a restriction, not a restraint. On the way to Whitebeard's hometown with Rayleigh, he also pondered the space ability move again for a month. On the basis of the two self-created tricks last time, 2 new tricks were added. Therefore, in the face of this situation, he could just give it a try. Space exchange. Su Mu drank softly, and with a sweep of his hands, a large space seemed to be cut by him in front of him. In this space, it happens to be the area where Blackbeard shock fruit has the strongest effect. Su Mu then twirled her hands, as if playing mahjong. After rotating the space cut by him, it suddenly switched with the space in front of Blackbeard. Boom. The shock ability has just exploded at this time. Puff. Blackbeard was like a kite with a broken string, his eyes widened, he vomited blood, and flew upside down. He never expected that the shocking ability he used to blast Su Mu would blow him away. Moreover, he was very annoyed. For this blow, he used all his strength, and his shock ability was raised to the peak. It was really terrifying. He broke a few of his own ribs. What kind of weird ability is this? Blackbeard was dumbfounded, struggling to stand up, his face clouded. This kid's ability to make several shots is too weird. He couldn't see or touch, which made him feel aggrieved by being hit by a heavy punch and being bounced back. Blackbeard made a gesture with his eyes, and Shiryu of the Rain, Capone, Lafitte, the King of Evil Government and others all rushed out at the same time. They merged with Blackbeard, surrounded Su Mu before everyone could react, and then launched their own attacks one by one. Was this sneak attack a success? They had the right time and place. It's just a pity that people in harmony decide everything. Su Mu chuckled and stood there without moving. It wasn't until the Blackbeard pirates approached and attacked him one after another that they read softly, dimension shift. Su Mu disappears. This is different from space concealment, because space concealment requires space folding. After being affected by Blackbeard's shock ability, it is difficult to achieve precise concealment. If there is a mistake, it will definitely be miserable under the siege of Blackbeard pirates. So, Su Mu used the second trick that he created during this time. Space transfer is to remove a piece of space directly from an area, so that this area is in a vacuum state. Su Mu moved away the space where he was standing, and then said that it was a crackling attack sound. Puff puff. After the loud crackling noise, there was another sound of vomiting blood. Due to Su Mu's sudden departure, the attacks of the Blackbeard pirates surrounding Su Mu fell on each other. This is really beating your own people. And one is more ruthless than the other. The most ruthless one was Blackbeard, he punched Lafitte stunned directly. Shiryu of the Rain didn't give up too much, and chopped Poison Q's chest open with one knife. For a moment, at least 4 members of the Blackbeard pirates were lying on the ground. This absurd and heartwarming scene made Marco and others couldn't help showing deep admiration for Su Mu. A person who actually played with the Blackbeard pirates in the palm of his hand. Although there are some reasons why everyone in the Blackbeard pirates did not understand his abilities, but the facts are in front of us. This man is so extraordinary. Who is he? Why is it here? Why fight Blackbeard? What grudge does he have with Blackbeard? These questions are not only the doubts of Marco and others, even Whitebeard and Ace are very curious about some of them. Boom. When everyone was astonished, there was a loud noise. Blackbeard used his shock ability, and punched the ground in front of him. Suddenly the entire island was shaken, and a huge crack several kilometers long and tens of meters wide appeared in front of him. This large crack separates the area where Blackbeard is located from the area where Su Mu and others are located. Moreover, with the progress of these battles, Blackbeard and others have come to the island. Therefore, this time the shaking ability directly caused the area where Blackbeard was located to shatter from the small island and fall into the sea. And this was like an earthquake caused by the power of nature, causing everyone to stabilize their bodies in a hurry. When they finally stood still, everyone in the Blackbeard pirates had already fallen into the sea. Blackbeard is breathing, he wants to get away. Marco said eagerly, anyone can see it. Want to run? I wish you good luck. Whitebeard walked to the shore, and the seismic power acted on the sea, directly setting off huge waves, and the entire sea area was churning, but Blackbeard and others were not seen. Don't look for them, they must have escaped. There is a monster in the Blackbeard pirates, the giant warship Wolf, which has the ability to sail in water, much more powerful than submarines. Blackbeard must have escaped from the bottom of the water under his protection. Su Mu shook his head, signaling to Whitebeard not to waste his efforts in vain. It's really hard to kill him. I hope next time, I can completely kill all his life. Whitebeard regretted that he killed Blackbeard this time, but who would have thought that this bastard would have 3 lives? At this time, among the clouds above Su Mu and the others, a news bird was taking pictures of the following scenes with a high-tech camera, and then quickly passed them to the news headquarters. A day later, the whole sea explodes, Naval Headquarters Friar. Because, a headline spread all over the world. The strongest man in the world, Whitebeard, is resurrected. The Whitebeard pirates reappeared in the sea again and defeated the Blackbeard pirates. Marineford, naval headquarters, snapped. Sengoku slapped the conference table fiercely, and roared angrily and terrified. What went wrong? Akainu's face was gloomy, and his head was still aching from the place where he was beaten by Whitebeard in the Summit War. Could it be? Is the effort of Summit War in vain? Akainu looked hopeless. We just announced to the world that we executed the blood of One Piece and killed 4 emperors Whitebeard. Unexpectedly, the news of Whitebeard's resurrection appeared so soon. Isn't this slapping Marine in the face? Sengoku felt his face burning and hurting. Akainu looked at Sengoku. The eyes of the two showed a sense of grief and loneliness. If there is no one here, they really want to hug each other and cry. Summit War. Marine paid an unimaginable price, but ended up feeling lonely. Chapter 45. The Queen was arrested. Advertise here. Because of the resurrection of Whitebeard and Ace, the entire naval headquarters is under a deep cloud. The matter has come to this, it's useless to be upset and angry, let's talk about the next plan. Aokiji appeared calmer, and promptly diverted everyone's bad emotions. Be prepared for protection and fighting. Whitebeard will never be resurrected in such a silent manner. With his personality, he will definitely regain his face in the Summit War. Garp said listlessly from the side, his words were serious, but he picked his nostrils casually. In this meeting, he was excited when he heard the resurrection of Ace and Whitebeard at the very beginning, and he was bored to death by the dullness and solemnity of the people behind him. Garp's words made some vice admirals and even Akainu tremble unconsciously. They were the ones who were severely beaten by Whitebeard in the Summit War, and they also performed the hardest and killed the Whitebeard pirates the most viciously. Don't worry about Whitebeard for now, there is an urgent and important matter that needs to be resolved. Sengoku took out a stack of papers with instructions and distributed them to the Marine executives. This is unreasonable, right? The Pirate Queen has contributed a lot in the Summit War. Aokiji looked at the command message and said in shock. Kuzan, did you automatically ignore her man's message? Killing the celestial dragons is a capital crime, implicating the entire clan. Akainu sneered. More than a month ago, someone among the celestial dragons nobles living in Mariajoy was killed, and an accident occurred in the sea about 2 days away from Marineford. At that time, the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral reported that it was a storm. However, the investigation by the world government and under pressure and questioning, the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral finally told the truth. Sengoku looked at the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral and said, let me give you a brief account of the reason for the specific incident. Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral's face turned pale. He is no longer a Vice Admiral. Although the title has not been removed, the Vice Admiral rights he was in charge of have disappeared, and he has been demoted to Rear Admiral. This is the result of Sengoku and Kong's efforts to protect him, otherwise he will be beaten to the end, or even pushed into the submarine prison. At that time, I was ordered to pick up the Empress to naval headquarters. On the way, I was attacked by celestial dragons and pirates. Especially the celestial dragons rushed directly to snatch the Empress and brought a large number of strong people. However, these people all died in the end. Mainly the Empress, the man Su Mu did it. Of course, the Empress just killed a few dead servants brought by the celestial dragons. Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral had a bad face, because he was forced to tell the truth, so he reported false news to naval headquarters according to Su Mu's request. No way, he really can't beat Su Mu. And afterwards, because I was afraid of being punished, I didn't dare to mention it again. But the celestial dragons died. The matter was serious. The world government did its best to investigate, and finally got the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral to tell the truth. Now, the orders in everyone's hands are issued by the world government. Cancel the title of Empress 7 Warlords of the Sea. Wanted female emperor. Reward 500 million berry. Increase Su Mu bounty to 800 million berry. Order Marine to capture Su Mu and the Empress from now on, and celestial dragons must give an explanation. Quote. The order is very clear, and the time is compressed very tightly. Marine must execute it immediately. It is obvious that the celestial dragons were shameless first, and they took the initiative to arrest the Empress of the 7 Warlords of the Sea. This is too arrogant. The Empress just killed a few people in self-protection. I think the Empress is absolutely right. As for his man Su Mu's behavior, although a little negligent, but the intention is understandable, any wife will be angry when she encounters such danger and treatment. Aokiji was the first to express his point of view. The celestial dragons are shameless first, and the Empress and Su Mu have no problem protecting themselves. Kuzan, have you forgotten your marine duties? Akainu snapped back, completely contrary to Aokiji's idea. Marine's duty is to obey the orders of the world government and serve the celestial dragons. Now that the celestial dragons have been killed, whatever the cause, the murderer must be punished. In particular, the murderer has experience as a pirate, so Akainu will not show mercy. Sakazuki, duty is dead, and justice is the bottom line that Marine should stick to. Aokiji immediately retorted. The justice he believes is that everyone is equal and fair. However, Akainu's justice is different, what he wants is absolute obedience and order. The tit-for-tat dialogue between the two because of their disagreement also laid the groundwork for the war that will soon follow. HMPH, it's the celestial dragons again. If you want me to say, Su killed it well. Garp was quite straightforward, directly expressing his disgust for the celestial dragons. He was the only one who dared to do this, and everyone else was terrified when they heard his words. Okay, it's meaningless for us to discuss whether it is reasonable. The world government has issued an order, let's execute it. Sengoku interrupted everyone's discussion, and continued, Su and the Empress are powerful in battle. In order to ensure that they are captured, the two admirals, Akainu and Aokiji, will lead the team to arrest them and set off immediately. Akainu and Aokiji took the lead and set off with 5 marine warships. 7 days later, Daughter's Island was surrounded by marine. After seeing the person coming, the Empress gave up her resistance. She knew that it was useless to resist, and there were actually 2 marine admirals. If they resist, the entire Daughter Island will be buried with them. But Su is not in Daughter Island. He has been away for more than a month and is preparing to return from Whitebeard's hometown. At Aokiji's strong request, Daughter Island survived, but only captured the Empress. But how to deal with the Empress? Naval headquarters had another heated discussion. Akainu and Sengoku insisted on sending Mariajoy directly to the world government for disposal, because the queen's crime lies with the celestial dragons, and Marine dared not make her own decision. Garp and Aokiji insisted that the Empress was captured by Marine, and should be sent to Impel Down, a large undersea prison. Ultimately, Sengoku heeded the advice of his old comrade Garp. Send the Empress to the Impel Down LV's 6th floor for detention. Whitebeard's hometown, port, an atmospheric pirate ship sets sail. At the bow, Su, Whitebeard, Ace, and Rayleigh were standing. After defeating the Blackbeard pirates, Whitebeard stayed with his sons for a few days, and followed Su's idea to communicate with Marco and others, and finally passed. The number of the Whitebeard pirates still exists, and they can also operate independently on the sea, but secretly, they must obey Su's dispatch. As for Whitebeard, of course he is happy to follow Su. Not only because Su can completely heal his terminally ill body, but also because of his resurrection ability, more powerful people can reappear in this sea. Especially, One Piece Luo Jia, Whitebeard's old foe and friend. After experiencing life and death, he seems to miss the previous characters even more. Blue. Su's exclusive phone bug rang. It must be Hancock's call. I've been away for more than a month. This woman must have missed me. Su joked to Rayleigh and got on the phone. Master Su, it's bad. Elder sister Shichibukai's title was removed from the world government, she was offered a reward of 500 million berry, and she was captured by Marine not long ago. On the other side of the phone bug, an anxious and frightened voice came from the Empress' younger sister, Boa Santasonia. Chapter 46 Goal. Break into Impel Down. Advertise here. Santasonia, what did you say? Su's heart broke, as if he didn't want to believe it, and asked. Master Su, my sister was captured by Marine. Santasonia emphasized again on the phone bug's side. Are you 9 snake pirates eating nothing? Hancock was arrested, so you didn't resist and wait for me to return. Su roared eagerly. Normally speaking, Daughter Island is a country with Shichibukai-level strength like the 9 snake pirates. It is not easy for Marine to catch it, unless the big shots join hands. My lord, the 2 admirals from Marine came here in person, and my sister ordered us not to resist. The voice from the phone bug was crying, obviously extremely wronged. Marine actually sent 2 admirals. Su frowned. Marine's battle was too big. The 3 highest combat powers actually sent 2 people. In order to capture the Empress, it is too much, isn't it? He really couldn't figure it out. The Empress didn't mess with Marine, they wouldn't treat a 7 warlords of the sea recognized by the world government like this. And many more. Su seemed to have thought of the key, and hurriedly asked, is Marine also searching for me on the island? Yes, Marine's vice admiral didn't find you, they only arrested my sister. Su's expected answer was given on the phone. At this time, he finally figured out why Marine arrested the Empress so much. All celestial dragons are dead. Everything is because of him. He killed the celestial dragons before the Empress was captured. Come to think of it, the flying squirrel vice admiral has spoken the truth. Su sighed, feeling deeply guilty. Santasonia, don't act rashly, protect Daughter Island, Hancock will be rescued by me. After saying that, Su hung up the phone. Turning around, Su's face was gloomy and expressionless. What's going on? Rayleigh asked. Su explained the cause of the matter once, and then began to think. The Empress was arrested, he must use the fastest time to rescue, and he must not let the Empress suffer. A difficult problem before him now is, where will the Empress be captured by Marine and imprisoned? If it was sent directly to Mariajoy, Su couldn't imagine it at all. Moreover, Mariajoy is absolutely impenetrable, more difficult to break through than naval headquarters, with his current strength, he will definitely die. Su, don't be impulsive, think of a countermeasure before you have hope. Whitebeard comforted. People must be rescued, but not recklessly, otherwise Hancock will be more difficult to be rescued. We must make a plan and we must succeed once. Rayleigh added on the side. Let me think for a moment and come up with a perfect plan. Su stood at the bow of the boat, looking at the deep sea, lost in thought. He felt the heaviness and pressure for the first time. It was the first time I was so angry. Who would not be angry when his own woman was arrested? But if you want to rescue the Empress, you must prepare everything. In his previous life, he was the prince of the D family, with a noble status. Even if something happened, his parents and big brother would take care of everything, and there was no need for him to be his turn. So he has been idle all the time, enjoying the luxury and corruption of the prince. Even at that time, he was a soul who traveled from the earth, but once a person enjoys it and feels that nothing threatens him, he will not be self-motivated. So he rarely faces a situation like this one. But after 2 lifetimes, Su Mu's mind has long matured, and she has some ideas about how to rescue the Empress. Newgate, big journalist Morgans, can you get in touch? Su Mu asked. This strange bird. It seems that Marco has his contact phone bug. Whitebeard thought, and gave the answer Su Mu expected. Let Marco tell me his phone bug number. Su Mu said immediately. Ace nodded aside, and hurried to contact Marco. After a while, Ace came back, brought Morgan's contact information, and dialed for Su Mu. Hello, who is calling me? Over the phone, Morgan's shrill voice rang out, languid and a little cocky. Because, his career is on the rise recently, and several headlines have been snatched by him. Such as Whitebeard and Ace Resurrection. For example, Empress Shichibukai was stripped of her title and captured by Marine Admiral. His news birds are all over the world and can detect many news secrets. It's me, Su Mu. Su Mu said her name directly. Su Mu. It turned out to be you. The Empress' husband, the great pirate who offered a reward of 800 million, seems to be inextricably linked with Whitebeard's resurrection. Morgan's eyes lit up, and he was immediately interested. He was the first person to know about Whitebeard's resurrection, so he could naturally analyze the special relationship between Su Mu and Whitebeard's resurrection from those present at that time. This Su Mu is an extremely mysterious guy. He has been unknown for more than 10 years, and he doesn't care if he is ridiculed as the king of soft rice. However, in recent months, he has been in the limelight, and there have been a lot of news about him. As a great journalist, he certainly knows about Su Mu defeating the Flying Squirrel Vice Admiral, killing celestial dragons, and defeating Doflamingo. He even knew that Su Mu and Rayleigh were tied in 3 strokes. So it's the famous soft rice. Su Mu, you contact me, do you have some breaking news to give me? Morgan said eagerly. Many people sold him news and information in this way, and of course he would give back, but to him, breaking news was obviously more valuable. Morgans, I would like to ask you to check something for me. If it can be done, I can provide you with a piece of news that will shock the whole world for free. Su Mu said lightly. Oh, that depends on the quality of your news information. Morgans felt that Su Mu wanted something from him, so of course he had the right to bargain. Quality. Haha. Destroying Marineford, what about the news? Su Mu sneered. What? You're starting Summit War again. Morgan's jaw dropped in shock on the other side. Would you like to? Su Mu didn't want to talk nonsense, he still had other plans and time was tight. I don't want. I do. Morgans was still sincere, and agreed after a while of hesitation. Anyway, he didn't cause the war, and besides, he prefers the war so that he has countless news to write. Okay, I want you to find out where the Empress is being held now. Su Mu stated the purpose directly. Because the Empress was imprisoned, it was only known to Marine's internal senior management, and it was not announced to the public. Morgans was perplexed. This involves Marine's secrets, and he dare not reveal them casually. Don't you want breaking news? Let me tell you, the news I give you may be more than that simple. Su Mu sneered, his anger would not just let it go. What else are you going to do? Morgan stammered, and the next moment he put his hands over his mouth in shock. Su Mu inquired about the place where the Empress was being held, obviously to save someone. This is a direct war with the world government. He had a hunch that a war crazier than the Summit War might be coming. This makes Morgans excited, and there will be more breaking news for him to report by then. Lord Su Mu, I just learned not long ago that the Pirate Empress was imprisoned by Marine on the LV 6th floor of Impel Down, a large undersea prison. Morgan said it directly without any further hesitation. Impel Down. Su Mu breathed a sigh of relief. As long as it's not a place like Mariajoy, he doesn't feel too nervous. After all, he was afraid that the Empress would be tortured by the mobs of the celestial dragons. Now that the Empress is in Impel Down, at most she will suffer a little bit of flesh and blood, which is the best result. Although Impel Down is the largest prison in the world, guarded by powerful people like Magellan and guarded by a group of powerful beast jailers, it is impossible for ordinary forces to break through. However, Su Mu is no ordinary person. The Whitebeard pirates plus Rayleigh and the 9 Snake pirates are not an ordinary force. Even though naval headquarters will have extra enhanced protection, Su Mu dares to go there. However, it is said that the world government will send troops to take over the Empress in 10 days' time, and escort her back to Mariajoy to be dealt with. Morgans added. Immediately, Whitebeard and the others felt the chill from Su Mu's body. It was summer, and Su Mu's murderous aura was as cold as hell. This is really angry. Very good. Hee. World government. Celestial dragons. Morgans, help me find out when celestial dragons will go to the Sabayati archipelago auction soon. Su Mu's eyes were full of killing intent, and the purpose was already obvious. You're not going to kill the celestial dragons again, are you? Morgans was shocked continuously. Celestial dragons are the gods of this world, and every death will cause the world to shake. Isn't it because of the dead celestial dragons that the Empress was arrested? After thinking for a moment, he gritted his teeth and said, 5 days later. Okay, Morgans, I'll keep this favor in mind. Wait for the breaking news from me, it won't be long. Su Mu hung up the phone. Everyone, is there anyone who dares to follow me to Impel Down? Su Mu turned around, looked at the crowd and said seriously. Hu la la la, my life is yours, let alone Impel Down, so what if it's Mariajoy? The face lost in Summit War, this time, Marine must return it. Whitebeard made a statement, and also made it clear that the entire Whitebeard pirates will be together. From the time I made an agreement with you, I will not back down. Rayleigh was very direct, saying that he would go firmly. Okay, the ultimate goal. Impel Down, the largest prison under the sea. Let's go and see how the world's largest prison is impregnable. Su Mu stood at the bow of the boat, clenched her fists tightly, her eyes full of murderous intent. Chapter 47 Whitebeard returns to the top. Advertise here. The goal is determined, and Su Mu will also deploy the overall arrangement. Ace stayed and continued to summon all the forces of the Whitebeard pirates with Marco and others, then coated the pirate ship, and sneaked in the sea to Impel Down, avoiding Marine's eyes and ears. The 9 snake pirates were also summoned by Su Mu, and they disguised and concealed themselves, and headed towards Impel Down secretly. Su Mu set off with Whitebeard and Rayleigh. Of course, their boat looks ordinary in appearance, but it is extremely fast, which is what Su Mu specifically requested. Whitebeard, as the 4 emperors of New World, of course has abundant resources, and it is easy to find this suitable ship. On the boat, Su Mu returned to the room, and a bottle of blue potion appeared in her hand. This is the previous bonus, observation hockey booster. At that time, he hadn't had time to eat, and now it was time to improve his strength, so Su Mu drank it directly. His observation hockey itself is at the intermediate level, and now a bottle of booster has raised his observation hockey to the advanced level. In this sea, there are very few high-level knowledge and knowledge colors, even rarer than armament hockey. Because observation hockey is more difficult to improve and practice. With advanced observation hockey, Su Mu, like Katakuri, can accurately predict the enemy's next move in battle, and give himself an advantage in both offense and defense. Of course, he did not forget Momonosuke's unique skill. Through the advanced observation hockey, the direction of the slash can be controlled flexibly, which is a very powerful offensive technique. Immediately afterwards, a long black knife suddenly appeared in Su Mu's hand. This is an additional reward for reviving Whitebeard's trigger check-in, and I didn't look at it in a hurry at the time. Now Su Mu found that the knife was extremely heavy. After he took it out from the system backpack, his whole body was pressed down, and he stepped on the floor of the room directly to create 2 big holes. Fortunately, there is a steel guard plate under the floor of the room, so that the boat will not be stepped on. Even so, this small ship sank less than half a meter into the sea. If it weren't for Su Mu's amazing strength, he might not even be able to hold this knife. If it were an ordinary person, this knife would be able to crush him to death. Su Mu looked back at the system's introduction to this supreme sword. Zon Heavy Saber. Cast from space gold meteorites, the material is extremely heavy and extremely hard. This knife weighs 2,600 jin. It has no front and is blunt. In the blade body, there is the attribute of the golden meteorite itself. When swinging the knife, the powerful swordsman can attract the golden energy and cut out the golden road, just like a road made of gold. It is extremely sharp and powerful. Metal chi is one of the 5 elements, heavy and sharp, invincible. Quote. Every time you swing a knife, it takes a lot of physical strength to fully display the golden avenue. If it is an ordinary marine vice admiral, you can only swing the knife once at most, and it can only arouse 1/10 of the power. It is necessary to wait a day for the body and strength to recover before swinging the knife for the second time. Su Mu looked at the introduction and nodded inwardly. This knife is a killer weapon. But with my current body and strength, it is difficult to continuously swing it to exert its full power. Su Mu reckoned that he could only swing the saber once at most, showing the full power of the golden chi dao with a complete saber. After swinging the knife, just like Luffy's 4th gear, it takes time to recover. With a flip of her palm, Su Mu put the Xuanzhong knife into the system backpack, and the whole boat immediately floated up again. And lastly, demon wings. When Su Mu summoned it from the backpack, what appeared in his hand was a bottle of green potion. Su Mu looked at the potion in his hand and was in a daze for a while, hesitating again and again. He was a little apprehensive about this green potion. What should I do if I drink it and turn into a Hulk like a muscle bump? When the time comes, the Empress won't be scared to death. He is also afraid of eating this green thing, and his body will turn green, especially his hair. At that time, with green hair, like a green grassland, it would be too embarrassing. Su Mu looked anxiously at the introduction to the system, and realized that he was thinking too much. It's just that the color is a little not friendly, but otherwise very attractive. After eating the potion, There will be a special power in the body, which will overflow from the pores to form a pair of transparent wings, which will balance the body with the outside world, allowing you to control your body to fly as you like. This kind of flight, Sumu is even a little bit faster than an airplane, and has higher flexibility. The only thing to pay attention to is flying at high speed. It will be a disaster if you hit an obstacle. Sumu didn't hesitate any longer, and drank the bottle of green liquid directly. Immediately, he felt a special power in his body, and when he operated a little, that power overflowed from his pores, forming a pair of wings on both sides of his body. Sumu can feel the existence of a pair of wings, but outsiders can't see it at all. He gently flaps his wings downward. Boom! With a loud bang, his head directly pierced the ceiling of the room, and the whole person was hung from the ceiling with his head exposed, and he saw Whitebeard and Rayleigh on the deck looking at him strangely. Sumu took off the energy wings and felt the power return to her body. He used his hands to break off the wooden plank stuck around his neck, turned over from the ceiling and came to the deck. Ahem. I was practicing just now. Sumu explained awkwardly. It's just that Whitebeard and Rayleigh obviously don't believe it, and only fools hang themselves from the ceiling when they practice. Newgate, come here. It suddenly occurred to Sumu that Whitebeard's body had only been repaired 80% by himself, and now he still had injuries on his body, and his terminal illness still existed. This state has seriously affected his strength. Whitebeard walked over. Sumu reached out and pressed Whitebeard's back heart. The power of resurrection surged, directly penetrating into Whitebeard's body along Sumu's arm. Sumu. You don't need to waste your energy, my body is already pretty good. Whitebeard was a little embarrassed. It was already a great surprise that he could be resurrected, and he didn't want to demand too much. He believes that any harvest must be paid for. Sumu must pay a very heavy price for resurrecting him an ace. There is no such thing as getting something for nothing in this world. However, Sumu is an exception. With the system in his body, he has indeed become a strong man for nothing. The same is true for the power of resurrection, which has been continuously increased by the rewards of the system. It has reached an advanced level and can revive a strong person like Whitebeard. It just needs to consume physical strength and resurrection power. Rest, you can recover again. Don't talk. Sumu stopped Whitebeard, and sent all his resurrection power to repair Whitebeard's body. After a while, his body had fully healed from the trauma he suffered in the Summit War. Okay, I feel that the wounds in my body are healed. Whitebeard clearly felt the state of his body, and couldn't help reminding Sumu again. Not yet. Sumu didn't stop. The power of resurrection wandered through Whitebeard's body, sorting out every part of his body, including cells, muscles, blood, tendons, internal organs, etc., and every part was being repaired. This is to completely cure the terminal illness in Whitebeard's body. Half an hour later, Sumu was sweating profusely, her face was pale, and she finally stopped. Sumu, have you cured all the incurable diseases in my body? Whitebeard felt that his physical condition was unprecedentedly good, and he was almost back to his peak, making him feel decades younger. This feeling, so much that he misses it. That was the time when he competed with Luo Jia for the One Piece. He was surprisingly strong. Now, his body seems to be rejuvenated, his terminal illness has disappeared, and he has inexhaustible strength. This way, isn't it more exciting? Although Sumu felt weak, she was still very happy. Whitebeard's problem can be solved, and Luo Jia's terminal illness can also be solved in the future. Hulalala. If you are thankful, you don't have to say it hypocritically. Sumu, tell me, what are you going to do next? I'm happy to give Marine and World Government a big surprise right away. Whitebeard was in high spirits, as if he felt he could do anything right now. Go to the Sabayati archipelago, pass through Marineford, use naval headquarters to collapse again, and announce to Sengoku and them that you are fully back. The corners of Suemu's mouth turned up, revealing a crazy smile. Chapter 48 Naval Headquarters. Advertise here. Suemu's words made Whitebeard grin excitedly. Crashing naval headquarters, that's what he'd love to do. During the Summit War, Ace was killed by a Kainu. When he was angry, he used the shock ability to split the naval headquarters, but it was not completely divided into two halves. It's a pity for him. At that time, his physical condition was already very poor, and a full blow could only reach that level. Now that his body has returned to its peak, he is eager to try, and really wants to know how much his combat power has improved. Hula la la la. I'd love to see old bastards Sengoku and Garp in disgrace this time, so how about we have a sneak attack? Whitebeard suddenly smirked. He knew that even if he shattered the naval headquarters with his shock ability, it would not cause serious injuries to powerful people like Garp. At most, it's just broken skin and bleeding. But if they know their intentions and are prepared, they won't take much advantage at all. Well, there must be a sneak attack. I don't want to waste time in Marineford. Sumu nodded. The collapse of naval headquarters is just to show Marine's attitude and charge a little interest. The Sabayati archipelago is where the heartache of the world government and Marine is. Marin Fanduo is not far from the Sabayati Dike Islands. To shatter the naval headquarters, we have to calculate the time, so that we can just arrive at the Sabayati Dike Islands, so that it is impossible for Marine to catch up with us. Rayleigh analyzed carefully and continued. Also, I think it would be very beneficial to break Marineford and go to the Sabayati-Tyke Islands to make trouble. Rayleigh showed a thumbs up to Su Mu, and seemed to admire Su Mu's delicate calculation. Hancock is imprisoned. Marine or world government will definitely interrogate, but if we mess up the outside, Marine can't take care of himself, and world government is busy throwing anger, then we won't bother Hancock for a while. Wait until they know it's us. What the hell. By the time Hancock vented his anger, we had already entered Impel Down. As expected of the deputy of One Piece, he is really resourceful. Su Mu looked at Rayleigh with admiration. Rayleigh directly expressed the prediction in his heart, and also indirectly expressed Su Mu's entire action plan. Hula la la la. This plan is good. Rayleigh, you old boy is not in good health, are you? Let Su Mu find time to fix it for you. Whitebeard teased Rayleigh from the side. Not long ago, Rayleigh had teased him that he couldn't do it, that he was dying, and now he finally got the chance to fight back. I don't need it. Without devil fruit, I pay attention to physical skills in my body. Even at this age, I am still extremely strong. Rayleigh shook his head and refused. Su Mu nodded. Rayleigh is the same type as Garp. Even in his 60s and 70s, he is as strong as a cow. He swims directly in the sea without moving, and travels alone through the calm belt where the Sea Kings live. In addition to being powerful, his body is too strong. Su Mu and others continued to sail on the ship, and Rayleigh, a part-time navigator, headed for Marineford, while Su Mu was trying to figure out the ability of Space Fruit. He discovered that the spatial ability has unlimited potential and can develop a variety of moves. At present, his spatial ability is only at the intermediate level. If he has the opportunity, what kind of power will he have if he upgrades to the advanced level? 3 days later, Marineford. A small ship floated up from the sea and docked on the shore. This is the early morning of the night, when Marine's inspections and vigilance are the most relaxed. Su Mu and others did not pretend to sneak attack during the day, so the risk of being discovered was greater. It's not because they are timid, but because the actions here will have an impact on subsequent actions, so try to keep a low profile. The three of them were surrounded by Naval Headquarters' powerful combat power, and even if they couldn't die in the end, they were the ones who suffered. After all, the opponent has Garp Sengoku, San Admiral. Sengoku and Garp should still be sleeping. I will use the shock ability to ensure that I can bury them among the broken walls and broken tiles. Unfortunately, we have to leave soon, otherwise I really want to see these two old guys in disgrace. Gray face, angry expression. Whitebeard was grinning, but deeply regretful. If Garp and others saw it, they would definitely chase Whitebeard and beat him up. This old guy is really bad. Let's start. Su Mu gave the order. Whitebeard took a deep breath, the four emperor's cloak fluttered, and a powerful aura erupted from his body, causing huge waves in the nearby sea area. This is just his instinctive aura. He inserted Kong Yunchi on the deck, clenched his fists with both hands, and his terrifying muscles swelled. Around the two huge fists, the cover formed by the shock ability was tearing the surrounding space, and countless cracks like spider webs were spreading. Hula la la la. Shatter, Naval Headquarters. Whitebeard laughed, arms outstretched, and hammered back hard like a hammer on clear glass. I saw that this piece of transparent glass was full of cracks, and the sound of clicking was endless, heading towards the Naval Headquarters of Marineford. Rumble. The earth shakes and the mountains shake. The whole sea was still tumbling, and one after another water jets rushed into the sky like a tsunami. And the entire Marineford began to vibrate violently, centered on Naval Headquarters, sinking towards both sides. There was a loud click. A large crack appeared at the base of the tall Naval Headquarters building and began to spread upwards. In less than half a minute, the crack went from bottom to top, breaking the entire Naval Headquarters in half. The next moment, cracks in the ground expanded, crisscrossing the entire island. Boom. With a loud bang, the tall building of Naval Headquarters finally collapsed. Even at night, you can see the flames splashed when the tall buildings of Naval Headquarters fell, accompanied by screams and anger. Newgate, well done. Now, it's enough for them to mess up for a few days. Let's go. Su Mu was very satisfied with Whitebeard's masterpiece, and after appreciating the different beauty in this late night, he gave the order to leave. Whitebeard stared blankly at his hands, as if shocked by his own strength. It has been a long time since he used his shocking ability so freely. Recovering the peak feeling made him feel more carefree than ever before. Taking advantage of the night and the turmoil in the Naval Headquarters, their ships quietly departed for the Sabayati-Tyke Islands. Naval Headquarters, ruins. Garp crawled out from a pile of rocks, saw Sengoku in the form of a big Buddha beside him and laughed. Sengoku, your golden Buddha, has become an earthen Buddha. Bastard, how could you be any better? Sengoku and Garp pinched each other. Is this an earthquake? Aokiji walked from the side and pulled out an iron post stuck on his body. He had the misfortune to be pierced by an iron post when it collapsed at Naval Headquarters. But for him with the Logia devil fruit, it wasn't enough to hurt him at all. You are so naive. This is not a natural earthquake, but man-made. Sengoku's face was serious. Man-made. Could it be that Blackbeard attacked Naval Headquarters? Aokiji analyzed with a frown. Teach. Does he dare? It must be that bastard Whitebeard. Sengoku guessed the truth immediately. Haha. This is really the style of that Whitebeard guy, who protects the calf and holds grudges. Garp laughed from the side, as if naval headquarters was broken today, which made him feel very interesting and excited. You bastard, you still have the heart to laugh. Hurry up and rescue the wounded, and after this terrible thing is dealt with, hunt down Whitebeard with me. Sengoku angrily patted the ashes on Jin's body, and said to Garp dissatisfied. Chapter 49 Sabayati Archipelago, Celestial Dragons and Murlocs. Advertise here. Sabayati Archipelago, Auction House. A grand auction is held. Because of today's auction, there are 3 celestial dragons present. They learned that some mermaids will be auctioned today, so they walked out of Mariajoy on purpose. For them, buying mermaids as slaves seems to be more satisfying for their novelty-seeking and perverted psychology. Because mermaids are famous for their beauty. She has a great figure and a delicate appearance. Anyone who sees it has an urge to take it for himself. For celestial dragons, this is the ultimate. The most beautiful among mermaids is Shirahoshi, the princess of the Fishman Island. She is recognized as the #1 beauty of mermaids. Although she is huge, she is well proportioned and plump. Although she is not very old, she has big places that should be big. Her voice is soft and waxy, and her round face is always shy and innocent, making her look extremely cute. Celestial dragons really want to get Shirahoshi, but Shirahoshi has a noble status. Even celestial dragons must restrain themselves and dare not mess around. Because the Fishman Island is a kingdom with great voice. So, not getting Shirahoshi, they turned their lust for Shirahoshi into other mermaids. In today's auction, 2 mermaid women were auctioned off and locked in cages. At this time, the host of the auction house has come to the center of the stage and introduced it to the audience. My lords, the boss spent a lot of effort to get these 2 mermaid girls, and the cost is very high. The host started jacking up the prices, which is their usual tactic. Look at the mermaid woman on the left. She is tall and plump, with a delicate face, pure and glamorous, and has the aura of an iceberg beauty. Moreover, this mermaid woman dances superbly, which is rare in the world. You adults will definitely not suffer a loss if you buy it. The starting price for the mermaid girl is 10 million berry. After the host's introduction, the whole venue became a sensation. For ordinary people, this price is sky high, and they simply cannot afford it. For celestial dragons, this is just their monthly pocket money. The owner of the auction house knew very well that celestial dragons was bound to win the 2 mermaid girls, so he deliberately raised the price. Anyway, the celestial dragons don't care about the small bucks. My lords, look at the mermaid woman on the right. She is petite and exquisite, with a cute and tender face, and a pair of big eyes that are particularly bright. Although she is petite, her figure is as well proportioned as the mermaid woman on the left. And this mermaid woman has a distinctive voice. Not only does she have a beautiful singing voice, but she can also imitate and switch voices at will, which is really superb. The starting price for this mermaid girl is 15 million berry. The host introduced another mermaid woman, and the price was doubled. 2 mermaid women, a total of 25 million berry. At this price, only the great prince and celestial dragons can afford it. Of course, there are also some crazy pirates who may lose their fortunes to buy them. The atmosphere of the entire auction house was ignited, and the 2 mermaid women felt the viciousness and deep despair of this world in the iron cage. No matter who was bought by whom in the end, what awaits them is absolutely endless humiliation. That scene. They couldn't imagine it at all. I offer 25 million berry, and I want all of the 2 mermaid women. A pirate's rude voice sounded, especially conspicuous in the noisy auction field. With a look in his eyes that a man could understand, he looked at the murloc in the iron cage lewdly, and his saliva wanted to flow out. HMPH, a mere pirate, dare to fight with me. I offer 30 million berry, and both women want it. A prince from a certain country spoke with disdain for the pirates. Have more money than him. This pirate is really asking for trouble. That pirate is also a tough and vicious guy, and the reward will reach 30 million berry. Seeing that his auction price was being suppressed, he couldn't help glaring at the past. However, behind the prince, 2 strong men in armor immediately came out and looked at the pirate fiercely, making him shrink his head immediately. After fighting all the year round, he instinctively felt that he was no match for those 2 armored warriors. At this time, he couldn't help but feel even more aggrieved. The princes of the big countries are indeed not easy to mess with. The 3 of us brothers want these 2 slaves, and we will offer 50 million berry. If anyone robs us, I will kill him. Celestial dragons finally spoke, with a very impatient tone, directly threatening everyone. Seeing this, the prince clenched his fists angrily, but he didn't dare to contradict him. No one dares to violate the wishes of the celestial dragons. Even though, these 3 celestial dragons did not bring guards today. Because they know very well that no one dares to harm them. Moreover, Sabayati Archipelago also has a branch of Marine, and there is a Marine team led by Captain waiting for dispatch. Moreover, if the celestial dragons are in danger, the Admiral of Headquarters will rush to protect them. Marine Admiral, but the ceiling of this ocean's combat power, who doesn't want to live will mess with celestial dragons. Haha. The 3 brothers took these 2 slaves away. We are not interested in the rest of the auction. Take your time, and we will take your time when we go back. The eldest of the 3 celestial dragons laughed wantonly, and it didn't matter that his disgusting thoughts were exposed. Anyway, no one dared to do anything to them. The two mermaid girls in the sky trembled, they were locked by the seastone collar, and they couldn't escape with their wings. Die. They have no courage. Live, doomed to never see the sun. This is the unfairness of this world and the darkness of this world. The world ruled by celestial dragons reveals deep corruption and darkness. The two mermaid girls were dragged by two strong men to the celestial dragons, all miserable. Hey haha, I want this petite woman tonight first, and I will exchange it with you tomorrow. The boss of celestial dragons was wearing a big oxygen mask, and his obese face directly covered his squinting eyes with a lewd smile. Brother, why don't you have both of them delivered to your room tonight? Brothers, we'll talk about it after you get tired of playing. A celestial dragon said obsequiously. Among the celestial dragons, there were originally levels. This celestial dragon's boss, obviously has a higher status. Haha. You are very good, Lousy appreciates it. The boss of celestial dragons laughed and was even more happy. Tonight, he has to play again. But at this time, a tall and slender young man walked into the auction site, went straight to the two Murloc women, and said to the auction host, I'll offer 800 million berry to buy these two women. The host froze in place with a dazed look on his face. This guy is trying to make trouble, right? 800 million berry, even the celestial dragons will go bankrupt. Bastard ant, are you looking for death? 800 million berry, even if you kill you, you won't get it. The boss of celestial dragons reprimanded loudly. Oh, you really hit the spot. If you kill me, you can get a bounty of 800 million berry. Su Mu said with a faint smile. A bounty of 800 million berry. So high. The celestial dragon's boss was surprised. This is at least a big pirate who dominates one side. You are Su Mu. On the other side, the rude pirate of the competition said in shock. Some time ago, he just saw Su Mu's reward order. Su Mu is that the murderer who killed the eldest cousin. The celestial dragon's boss stammered, backed away in fright, and almost peed on his pants. His eldest cousin was killed by this Su Mu a month or two ago in order to snatch the Empress. This was a shock to Mariajoy, how could he not have heard of it? But now, this terrifying murderer was actually in front of him, and he couldn't help feeling extremely terrified. What do you want to do? Yes, by the way, I don't want these two women anymore. The celestial dragon's boss fell to the ground in fright and said while stepping back. He didn't dare to conflict with such a dangerous and desperate person, so his life is the most important thing, and there will be more women in the future. Sorry, I don't want these two women today, I want you. The corners of Su Mu's mouth raised, revealing a charming and crazy smile. I want the lives of the three of Chapter 50 kill 3 celestial dragons, trigger shock bonus. Advertise here. Su Mu pointed at the 3 celestial dragons, calling them dead. For a moment, the entire auction hall was silent, and everyone dared not show their atmosphere. This is the King celestial dragons, and someone is going to kill them. It's crazy, don't die. Admiral from Naval Headquarters will die if he comes. Everyone looked at me, and I looked at you. The next moment, they shouted in unison, flee. If you don't escape now, when will you wait? If the Admiral of Headquarters were to come, they might be treated as accomplices and killed together. The huge auction hall was suddenly empty. Only Su Mu, 3 celestial dragons, a host and 2 Murloc women remain. Do you know who I am? I am. Celestial dragons aloft, kill me, Admiral of Naval Headquarters will kill you. The celestial dragon's boss saw that Su Mu was not backed down by his retreat before, so he became tough again at this time. I know you are celestial dragons even if you don't tell me, I am here today, and I will kill you. Su Mu has no expression on his face, and already regards the 3 celestial dragons as dead. The death of the celestial dragons is very important, the world government will be severely scolded for not doing enough to protect it, and the marine must be even worse. The last time one died, it caused an earthquake in the world government, allowing the 2 admirals in marine to attack together. If 3 people died at once this time, wouldn't those old men in Mariajoy go crazy? Su Mu just wants to make them hurt. The Empress was arrested, he held that breath in his heart, and demanded that the world government pay it back 10 times and 100 times. At this moment, the host hurriedly retreated to report to the boss behind him. Su Mu sneered, and didn't bother to care. When the Admiral of Headquarters arrived, he had already left. He stretched out his hand, and the space ability bloomed, and 3 space cages appeared, locking the 3 celestial dragons inside. 2 little sisters, can you do me a favor? Su Mu said to the 2 Murloc girls. The 2 girls looked at Su Mu timidly. Although they were afraid, it was more of a sense of kindness and security. They were going to be bought by celestial dragons as slaves, but this man appeared, and their crisis was temporarily lifted. It's just that they don't know yet, what will this powerful man do to them in the future? Now, this man took the initiative to speak to them, with a polite, pleading, pure, and gentle tone, which warmed their hearts. Besides the clansmen, who else would treat them like this? They were sure that this man had no ill intentions towards them. So, the tall Murloc girl nodded and said timidly, Sir, please tell me, we will definitely do it. There is a phone bug here, please help me record the next scene. Su Mu handed the girl her exclusive phone bug, and revealed her intentions. Okay. The Murloc girl took the phone bug and turned on the video recording mode. Su Mu turned around, and looked at the terrified celestial dragons in the space cage who were beating the wall of the space cage madly. Whether it's for the D-Clan or Hancock, you will all be cut to pieces. Su Mu said coldly to herself. He waved his hand, and in the space cage, small space fragments glowing with cold light flew one after another, rushing towards the three celestial dragons densely packed. Ah! The three celestial dragons screamed. Those space debris are like knives, cutting celestial dragons piece by piece. This scene is so tragic that it sends chills down the spine. However, the two Murloc girls were not afraid, they only had joy in their hearts. The celestial dragons were tortured so badly by Su Mu, and the hatred and pain in their hearts were released. 10 minutes later, the three celestial dragons were bloody, and fell to the ground, already cold. The two Murloc girls saved the video and handed it over to Su Mu. Thank you. You can go home now. Su Mu took the phone bug, nodded to them, and turned to leave. My lord, our sisters have no home, you saved us, and we will be your slaves from now on. The two Murloc girls hugged Su Mu's thigh from behind and begged. I didn't intend to save you guys, I just wanted to kill the celestial dragons. Su Mu froze in place. Being hugged by two soft Murloc girls, he couldn't forcefully kick them away, he could only persuade them with good words. These two girls, one is glamorous and the other is lowly. One is tall and the other is small and exquisite. Each has its advantages and disadvantages. But Su Mu didn't want to agree to them and get into this trouble. The Empress is waiting to be rescued, even if she is rescued, with the Empress here, he will not take the initiative to touch other women. My lord, we can do everything. We can sing and dance, serve you, and make sure you are satisfied. The two Murloc girls hugged Su Mu's legs tightly, one on each side. Su Mu felt that her thighs were stuffed with softness, a little numb. Hey, you guys, follow me for now, and I'll take you back to the Fishman Island when I have time. Su Mu looked at the two lovely and pitiful girls, and couldn't bear that they were left alone. I'm afraid that after I leave, they will be arrested again and put in iron cages for sale. Therefore, I can only feel wronged and take them in first. Can you let go now? Su Mu looked under her, where the two girls were still hugging her. You didn't regret it, did you? Otherwise, we would never let go. The petite girl said. Yes, never let go. The glamorous and tall girl also echoed. After all, the two girls hugged him even tighter and squeezed their plump bodies. All right, I will never go back on my word. Su Mu surrendered directly. Only then did the two women let go of their hands, causing Su Mu's body to relax immediately. They left here together, and in Su Mu's mind, the system check-in was also triggered. Ding! Sign in on Celestial Dragons, Speed +5, Strength +5, Physical Strength +5, Combat Awareness +5, an extra reward of Devil Fruit, and a bottle of Devil Fruit Ability Enhancer, not applicable to revived Devil Fruit. Ding! Sign in on the Mermaid Girl's chest, Speed +2, Strength +2, Physical Strength +2, Combat Awareness +2, an extra bottle of Stamina Recovery Potion, and a bottle of Hockey Recovery Potion. Seeing the extra rewards from the system, Su Mu felt very refreshed. These extra rewards are all his favorites at the moment. But the Devil Fruit Ability Enhancer, he can use it on the Space Devil Fruit, so that his space ability can be raised to a high level. At that time, more space moves and stronger power can be displayed. Since then, Su Mu's comprehensive combat power has fully reached the Admiral level. Moreover, compared with the General Marine Admiral, he has more methods and more obvious advantages. As for the Stamina Recovery Potion and the Hockey Recovery Potion, for Su Mu, it was one more chance to use the Zon Heavy Saber. This is his trump card, one more trump card, one more chance of winning. Finally, Su Mu looked at the introduction of the new reward Devil Fruit by the system. Paramesha Eye Fruit. Su Mu looked at the name of this Devil Fruit, the corner of his mouth twitched, the name was too weird. He couldn't help sighing, Devil Fruit is really strange and omnipresent. He then looked at the system's introduction to this Devil Fruit. Paramesha Eye Fruit, the owner can obtain the magical power of the eye, allowing his eyes to evolve. It is an extremely mysterious power. The use of the power of the eye can be divided into three methods: Illusion, Sky Fire, and God of War Armor. Illusion is an attack that acts on the enemy's spirit, causing the enemy's illusion or spirit to be hit, thus falling into unconsciousness, low morale or direct collapse. Skyfire is a kind of flame attack created by the power of the eyes. The eyes are sharp, and the black skyfire will burn the target into dust. It cannot be used continuously, and it will cause great damage to the eyes. War God Armor. Use the power of vision to create a huge god of war outside your body. It can not only protect your body, but also has a strong attack ability. It is the most powerful move of the eye fruit. It cannot be used for a long time, otherwise it will damage the eyes, would cause enormous irreversible damage. With the improvement of the fruit's ability, the power of these three moves will also continue to increase. If the Devil Fruit's ability is awakened, it will form an eternal eye. No matter what moves are used, it will not cause damage to the eyes. Seeing the introduction of the system, Su Mu frowned. Why does this eye fruit look so similar to the Sharingan of the Uchiha family? This is the ultimate Devil Fruit. Su Mu regretted that he had already eaten 2 devil fruits, and he could no longer have this one. Ding. Check the uniqueness of host's body, checking. Ding. It is detected that the host's body is unique, it can hold 9 devil fruits in total, the detection is complete. The sound of the system directly stunned Su Mu. U. Chapter 51 Mysterious Heavy Sword and Eye Ability Trial. Advertise here. It's not because Su Mu's structure is too small, it's because the system's test results on his body surprised him and shocked him. Own body is very strange. Su Mu couldn't help recalling. Before the D clan was destroyed, the Zichuan family competed with the Rox family, and finally ascended to the throne of the clan, relying on the strength of their father. At that time, he hadn't been born yet, and of course he hadn't traveled through the past. Later, I heard from my mother that my father's strength was due to the special physical structure of the Zichuan family. It's just that he traveled from the earth at that time. He was originally a very ordinary poor child, but his identity changed drastically all of a sudden, so he only went to have fun and didn't pay attention to his father's combat power. I don't even feel that there is anything special about the Zichuan family's body. He has a close relationship with big brother Ming Huang, but Ming Huang doesn't eat devil fruit, he only practices swords, so he never knew the specialness of his body. Now, after being reminded by the system, he suddenly remembered that there was a strongman from the Rox family who came to the Zichuan family for a competition, and his father ended up personally, using several abilities in a row to defeat the opponent. At that time, he just glanced away from a distance and didn't care. Looking back now, I suddenly realized that my father also ate several kinds of devil fruit, which is why he has so many abilities. So, the blood of the Zichuan family can eat 9 devil fruits. What kind of blood does the Zichuan family have? Su Mu shook her head. There is no time to investigate now. After the Empress is rescued, she will investigate. As for the newly rewarded Paramesha Eye Devil Fruit, Su Mu's eyes were warm. This Eye ability is almost a replica of the Sharingan of the Uchiha family in the Hokage world. The first illusion, similar to Sharingan's Tsukuyomi. Of course, the main one is Uchiha Itachi's Tsukuyomi, who is able to trap the enemy in a hallucination and accept the torture of the soul. Of course, the forbidden technique Izana of the Uchiha family is even more terrifying, it can make people fall into the illusion and keep reincarnating without waking up. The second move is Sky Fire, similar to Sharingan's Amaterasu. Both Uchiha brothers can move, but Sasuke's Amaterasu inherits Itachi. The third move is the God of War Armor, which is equivalent to Susanoo of Mangekyo Sharingan. In terms of appearance, use, and protection, they are almost exactly the same. For Su Mu, these 3 tricks are all too familiar to him. Therefore, Su Mu didn't hesitate, and a devil fruit appeared in his hand as soon as he thought about it. He threw it straight into his mouth and swallowed it. In an instant, a magical power gathered from devil fruit and directly came to his eyes. The Eye ability merged with his eyes. At the same time, in Su Mu's mind, the method of using Eye and Eye abilities was naturally implanted by the system, allowing him to use them directly. It's just that at present, the Eyes and Eyes ability is only at the elementary level, and its power is not very powerful, but it has no problem at all against people weaker than Su Mu. As for dealing with people of the same level of combat power, I am afraid that at most it is just interference and cannot cause effective damage. Unless the Eye ability level is raised to intermediate level, or even advanced level. And after Su Mu ate the devil fruit, he also ate the devil fruit ability enhancer by the way, imposing it on the space ability improvement. Now, his spatial ability has reached an advanced level, and his combat power has almost reached one of the ceiling combat powers in this sea. Of course, there are strengths and weaknesses among generals, but Su Mu is confident that she will not be afraid of anyone with her many means. Walking out of the auction house, Su Mu stopped and looked at the huge auction house and the building behind the auction house, which was the office of the owner of the auction house. This auction house belongs to the industry of celestial dragons. I don't know how many dark deeds have been carried out in secret. Mermaid trafficking is just one of them. The 2 girls stopped behind Su Mu, and asked with surprise, "My lord, why did you stop?" "I just heard that Marine Admiral will come here, so let's leave as soon as possible." Su Mu didn't speak, but between flipping his hands, a long black knife appeared in his hand, like a long ruler. This level of destruction doesn't require me to use all my strength. Su Mu held the knife in both hands, and slashed down heavily from top to bottom. Call out. A golden road appeared, like a light mirror heading straight to the auction house. Kaka. Accompanied by a crisp sound, the entire auction house was cut in half by the golden road. Even the office building behind was cut in half. This is too sharp. Su Mu lamented that he didn't use a tenth of his strength, and the auction house and building made of steel and iron were easily cut open. Then shatter it. Let this auction house be delisted from now on, and no longer be the disgusting claws of celestial dragons. Su Mu raised the knife again and swung it several times in midair. The huge auction house and office building were cut into pieces of tofu. Rumble. When Su Mu put away the knife and turned to leave, the auction house and the office building collapsed into pieces. As for the people inside, the dead can't die anymore. The 2 mermaid girls covered their mouths in shock, and stared blankly at the auction house, which was still majestic just now, but now it was a pile of stones and scum. Everything is because of this man. He easily brandished the knife and accomplished such exaggerated destruction. The two women looked at each other, their eyes sparkling, and hurriedly followed Su Mu's pace, looking at him with admiration, and the girl's admiration for the strong. Su Mu, you came to kill celestial dragons again. I want to arrest you. A group of Marines arrived in time and blocked Su Mu's route. The Marine captain was holding a knife, his body was trembling, and he stammered a warning to Su Mu. It's just that this picture is too funny. Su Mu turned a deaf ear and continued on. Stay still or we're going to shoot. Kizaru, Admiral of Naval Headquarters, is almost here, get caught. The captain felt a little more confident at this time, and he was completely at ease when he thought that Kizaru was coming. Kizaru, I really want to meet him, but not now. You better go. Su Mu moved on, unthreatening at all. Shoot, the Marine captain ordered. Bang bang bang. There was a loud gunshot, and bullets shot at the three of Su Mu. The two girls were frightened, but they hurried to Su Mu to block the bullets for him. With a wave of Su Mu's arm, a space barrier appeared in front of the three of them, blocking all the incoming bullets. His eyes began to change, his pupils were spinning like windmills, and he whispered softly, illusion. This is the use of the eyesight ability. As soon as the illusion came out, a group attack was directly carried out, sweeping all the Marines present. My lord, don't get too close to them. The glamorous and tall girl reminded. Because there are too many Marines, being surrounded will make you passive after all. However, Su Mu didn't stop at all. With a steady pace, he took the lead and walked to the vicinity of the Marine soldiers, and then easily passed through the Marine soldiers. During this period, none of the Marines attacked him, and even the Marine soldiers didn't even look at him, they all stayed in place, like wooden men. Not yet, won't you come with me? Su Mu's voice sounded, and the two women hurried over, one on each side, holding Su Mu's arm boldly. Let go, I have a woman, Su Mu hastily reminded, shaking her arms quickly, but she didn't dare to use force, for fear of accidentally killing two weak girls. Don't let go. The two women looked at each other with wicked smiles. Space shift. Su Mu had no choice but to use the space ability directly, and move the two women directly to the boat on the shore, and she was relieved. Hancock, I rejected two great beauties because of you. After you are rescued, you must make it up to me. Su Mu laughed at herself and walked towards the shore. Chapter 52 Wrath of the World Government, Sengoku's Decision. Advertise here. Sabayati Archipelago. Whitebeard and Rayleigh are drinking wine leisurely in the bow. I seem to hear a loud noise from the auction house. Su Mu, has it already started? Rayleigh took a swig of wine from a small bowl and looked in the direction of the Sabayati Archipelago auction house. Kulalala. This is over. With Su Mu's strength, those small fish and shrimp have no resistance at all. Whitebeard dramatically lifted an oversized bowl, more than 10 times larger than Rayleigh's, and drank the entire bowl in one gulp. Tell me, what is the identity of this guy? He couldn't have appeared suddenly, right? And his body is special, and he also has two devil fruits. What's going on with these mysterious colors? Taking advantage of Su Mu not there, Rayleigh communicated his doubts to Whitebeard. I don't understand the identity of this guy, but it must be very simple. His purpose seems to be to fight against the world government, and he hates celestial dragons. Whitebeard secretly analyzed, and continued to add, have you noticed that he called Teach the black dog and said that the Marshall family is all dogs, which seems to indicate that he has a grudge against the Marshall family, or that he knows the past of the Marshall family very well. The Marshall family seems to be also the D family. Whitebeard lamented that he had heard that the D family was special, but he didn't know why. Whitebeard's words reminded Rayleigh, who frowned thoughtfully, and suddenly his eyes widened. Newgate, maybe I probably know his identity. Rayleigh narrowed his eyes and said with a serious expression, Su Mu made an agreement with me to resurrect Luogia, so I agreed to follow him. He mentioned to me at that time that he wanted me to reveal the secret that had been blank for 100 years at an appropriate time. He wants to expose the sinister intentions of the world government and shake the celestial dragons' rule over the world. So, what is his motivation for doing this? Obviously, he has a hatred with celestial dragons, and it is an endless hatred. This kind of hatred has lasted for too long, extending to 100 years before the blank. You may not know it, but I know that 100 years before the blank, the world government formed by the celestial dragons and the D group were feuds. They fought for the domination of this world. In the end, the world government used some despicable and dirty method almost wiped out the D family. So I guess, Su Mu should be a member of the D family, and he knew the truth about blank 100 years ago. What? Whitebeard was shocked, the news was too shocking. As the four emperors, this is also the first time he has heard of it. The D family had such a past. However, Clan D was destroyed and all traces were erased. People of Clan D today, such as Garp and others, don't know the past history of Clan D at all. Whitebeard questioned. Have you forgotten? He can resurrect you, why can't he resurrect himself? Perhaps, he is an old man of the D group, but he is only resurrected now. Rayleigh speculated with a laugh, seeming more and more convinced that this was the case. Whitebeard's thoughtful brows stretched out, and he couldn't help grinning. Kuralala, then it's fun. Who? Suddenly, Whitebeard felt a noiseless vibration around him, and immediately became alert. This. When Whitebeard and Rayleigh turned to look around, they saw two mermaid girls. This made them extremely surprised, because these two weak girls had no combat power at all. How could they suddenly come to them? Rayleigh, I remember that your old den is in the Sabayati archipelago. These two mermaid girls are temporarily homeless. Why don't you send them to Shaki for me to take care of them? After Hancock is rescued, send them back to the Fishman Island, how about it? Su Mu's voice came from the shore. My lord, don't leave us alone. The two girls said eagerly in unison, begging Su Mu. Rayleigh looked at Su Mu and the two beautiful mermaid girls with strange eyes. It only took a while for Su Mu to accept two stunning beauties. Moreover, it seems that Su Mu has wiped it out and refused to admit it. She is going to drive her away. But Rayleigh imagined that in such a short period of time, if Su Mu wants to kill the celestial dragons and then have something to do with the two women, the time should come. It's just that it's too short. Obviously, Rayleigh misunderstood Su Mu. Seeing Rayleigh's eyes, Su Mu raised his forehead and said, Woman, it will only affect the speed of my knife. Rayleigh, help me this time. Rayleigh nodded reluctantly, seeming to agree. Next, Su Mu passed the video of the phone bug to Morgans, and threw his news to the world government and Marine. Half a day later. The world government is fried. The aloof five elders was scolded by a group of celestial dragons like chickens at this time. The video of Su Mu beheading 3 celestial dragons is arrogant and vicious, which makes celestial dragons fear and angry, and naturally spread the fire on the world government temporarily. The 5 elders are worthy of being scolded. Who made them just wage earners? Master Yim didn't speak. They couldn't go against the wishes of celestial dragons. After all, the resources behind the world government were provided by celestial dragons. After the celestial dragons gave 5 elders a death order, 5 elders hastily issued a new arrest warrant. Su Mu, offer a bounty of 3 billion berry. This almost tripled Su Mu's worth at once. The reward order was spread to the whole world again through Morgan's newspaper, and it carried the determination of the world government. No matter what method is used, Su Mu must be killed as soon as possible. 5 elders felt useless, so naturally they wanted someone to take the blame. Marine became the ultimate backer. Marshal Sengoku was hated and scolded by 5 elders, and ordered Sengoku to arrest Su Mu as soon as possible. Marine Temporary Headquarters. Sengoku summoned Marine executives to hold a meeting in a temporary conference room. Everyone, the order of the world government is very clear. Marine bears the unshakable responsibility for the death of celestial dragons this time. Sengoku looked at the crowd and sighed. Whitebeard was revived, Ace was revived, and celestial dragons were killed one after another. I am incompetent as a marshal, so I have already made a request to the world government, and they agreed. Sengoku's words made the whole meeting room noisy. This decision was too sudden, which made everyone feel uneasy. I'm getting old too, it's time to give up this seat to you young people. From now on, my position will be Marine Inspector. As for who is Marine Marshal? Sengoku looked at everyone, paused for a few seconds, and continued. I propose Kuzan to be the new Marshal, and those 5 old guys recommend Sakazuki as the Marshal. So, you two decide for yourself, who will sit in my position in the end. Chapter 53 Marine's Layout, the door of justice blocks the way. Advertise here. Marine executives were shocked by Sengoku's decision, but they couldn't stop it. Recently, Naval Headquarters has really lost face, and as the Naval Headquarters, Sengoku has an inescapable responsibility. Moreover, because of his age and other reasons, he also wanted to quit, and everyone couldn't persuade him. As for the new marshal candidates, Aokiji and Akainu. These two are indeed the most suitable in the hearts of everyone. The representative of the Hawks likes Akainu, and the representative of the Doves likes Aokiji. As for the other 3 admirals, the paddling General Kizaru stood in the middle of the 2 factions, paddling everywhere and doing foreign work. So with his attitude, it is impossible for everyone to want to be led by him. Otherwise, when the world government does not pay wages, the entire Marine may go on strike and stop working. Think about that scene. Marine met the pirates, played a little bit, and then called it a day and went home. How to implement justice? Since there are 2 candidates, let's decide in the fairest way. The 2 admirals will fight, and the winner will become the marshal. Vice Admiral suggested. Marine the resourceful general was silent and did not make a statement. Garp picked his nostrils, which was acquiescence. Everyone looked at Sengoku, waiting for him to make a decision. I agree with this approach. However, the duel between Kuzan and Sakazuki will take a long time to decide the winner. And we currently don't have that much time to wait. Sengoku looked at everyone and said, although I don't know the specific reason for Whitebeard's resurrection, I can be sure that Whitebeard's resurrection is directly related to Su Mu. As one of the Marine the resourceful generals, Sengoku has a high IQ and quickly has his own reasoning in connection with recent events. When Whitebeard was resurrected, Su Mu was beside him. Immediately afterwards, Whitebeard shattered naval headquarters, and a day later, Su Mu killed 3 celestial dragons in Sabayati archipelago. Counting the time, Su was shattered by Whitebeard in naval headquarters when, he must be by your side. Sengoku looked at everyone with a solemn face and said, if I guess correctly, all these plans were planned by Su Mu, and his purpose is self-evident. The pirate Empress was captured, and he will definitely try to rescue her. Sengoku looked at the crowd and said, I guess, Su Mu is probably causing a big disturbance, leaving the world government and our marine too busy to take care of themselves, so that he has time to prepare, so as to find out where the Empress is being held. Everyone nodded, and after Sengoku said so, it was true. Of course, when his woman was caught, Su Mu must be angry, smashing naval headquarters, killing celestial dragons, and venting his anger. But everyone felt that the crazier he was, the more frightened he was, or in other words, he didn't even know where the Empress was being held. He used this kind of destruction to swear to the world government and marine that if he didn't hand over the Empress, he would become even crazier. Everyone, my priority now is to catch Su Mu. But he's in the dark and we're in the light. It's not easy to catch him. Sengoku asked back. This is what troubles him the most. If he knew about Su Mu's actions and the naval headquarters' highest combat force dispatched to encircle and suppress him, he would be sure to capture Su Mu. But now, it's just looking for a needle in a haystack. Crane Vice Admiral finally spoke. How about we take the initiative to inform him that the Empress is being held in Impel Down, and then set up a net to wait for him? This was a risky move, but it caught everyone's eyes. It seems very good to sit on the sidelines and wait for the rabbit to work. And we also need to inform that the world government will go to Impel Down to transfer the Empress to Mariajoy in 5 days. I believe he will be impatient to rescue the Empress. Sengoku added on the side. Because Mariajoy's defense is even stronger, and there are lecherous and shameless people like celestial dragons, Su Mu will never let the Empress fall into the hands of celestial dragons. Since this is the case, let's start to arrange. The news cannot be passed directly to Su Mu by us, but through an intermediary. I think the big newsman Morgans is very suitable. Crane added again that her mind is extremely meticulous, and she deserves to be the resourceful general in the resourceful general. By the way, some time ago, the world conscription started. How is the progress now? Sengoku asked. This matter is in charge of Kizaru. Marshal Sengoku, the world's conscription is progressing well. The world government has mobilized extensively around the world. There are already many potential elites who have signed up, even some admiral-level figures. Kizaru replied. Since the summit war, marine elites have lost a lot, and marine feels that high-end combat power is not enough, so they apply to the world government for conscription, and recruit strong people from all over the world to join marine to strengthen the team. Very good, everyone, the marine revolution is coming, the marshal will be changed, and even the admiral candidates will be changed. The elites selected from all over the world will also become our strength. But this is something that will happen later, now please everyone be ready. The Ministry of Information contacted Morgans to disclose the news, and asked him to find a reason to inform the detention center of Empress Su Mu. Kizaru, Momonosuke, and the T-Dolphin took all the vice admirals to Impel Down immediately, because we are very close to Impel Down, so you will spend about a day. We will be there. The rest of you will wait. Bring Morgans to contact Su Mu tomorrow before setting off. Sengoku looked at the senior officials of naval headquarters, and said in a deep voice, this time, we must capture Su Mu and execute Whitebeard and Ace thoroughly. Yes, everyone said in unison. Garp, you don't have to go. Sengoku deliberately left Garp behind. Ace is resurrected, he's after Whitebeard, you won't be able to do it if you go, just direct the rebuilding of naval headquarters here. Sengoku ordered, much to Garp's displeasure, but finally had to nod. Facing the revived Ace again, with the previous painful experience, he will definitely not make a move this time, and he will not even allow Marine to kill Ace. 3 days later, a small boat appeared in the waters where Impel Down was located. Su Mu, Rayleigh and Whitebeard stood at the bow of the boat, looking at the soaring gate of justice in front of them. Impel Down, Naval Headquarters, and Eni's lobby, the 3 government powerhouses, are connected by a huge deformed Uzumaki. Only by passing through the gate of justice can you take the correct ocean current and reach your destination. However, the gate of justice cannot be bypassed because the current on both sides of the gate is a reverse vortex caused by Uzumaki, and the ship cannot move forward. Therefore, the gate of justice is also the most powerful defense of Impel Down, and only through this gate can one enter Impel Down. And the gate of justice, made of special metal materials, is not only tall, but also thick. If it is not opened with a mechanism button, it cannot be blasted open with manpower and shelling. The 3 of Su Mu looked at the mighty gate of justice, and they all felt their insignificance. For the gate of justice, they are like giants looking at ants, the gap is really too big. This is the first time I've stood in front of the gate of justice like this. There is a mountain like the gate of justice blocking the way. How can we enter Impel Down? Rayleigh asked with a frown. Kulalala, I don't know if my shocking power can break the door of justice. Whitebeard was eager to try. But Rayleigh quickly poured cold water on him. The door of justice cannot be opened by humans, so you should save your energy. Who said that? I want to try to see if I can open the door of justice. Su Mu looked at the behemoth-like gate of justice, his eyes were radiant, and he had the fearless mentality of shaking a tree with a gnat. Chapter 54 Whitebeard bombards the gates of justice. Advertise here. Su Mu's eyes glowed, staring at the gate of justice, which was 1,000 times taller than her own, with an urge to conquer it immediately. If the door of justice cannot be cut off, then all plans will come to naught. Blue blue blue. The phone bug rang, and it was Morgans who had initiated the call. Master Su Mu, I have good news for you. On the phone bug side, Morgan's was extremely polite, full of respect for Su Mu's tone. Because, Su Mu is the most important person for him to take off so far. In the past few days, the collapse of naval headquarters and the killing of Sabayati Archipelago celestial dragons were all news that Su Mu provided him immediately. Even Su Mu gave him photos and video materials to make his news more real and timely. Just in the past few days, his journalism career has reached a new level, and his net worth has skyrocketed many times. Even the Marine and world government contacted him, wanting to establish a long-term cooperation with him. No, not long ago Marine took the initiative to contact him and gave him a message to tell Su Mu. Of course, Marine will not give him tasks for nothing, and the benefits are of course indispensable. What's the matter? Su Mu said lightly. He is now attacking Impel Down, and he doesn't want to inform Morgans in advance. After all, naval headquarters is very close to here, which will disrupt his plan to rescue the Empress. If he can deal with fewer enemies, he doesn't have to forcefully pretend to challenge the entire naval headquarters, unless he is mentally handicapped. Naval headquarters took the initiative to contact me and let me inform you that the Empress is being imprisoned in Impel Down. Morgans quickly explained his purpose of calling the bug. Oh, is this a good thing? You told me all about it. Su Mu sneered. My lord, this shows that Marine's intentions have been exposed. What about your ideas? Morgans reminded. Now Su Mu is his noble person, he doesn't want Su Mu to be arrested by Marine so early. Marine's trick is not bad, wait for me to fall into the trap. It's just that they are counting thousands of times, and they didn't expect you to tell me. Su Mu's mouth has a faint smile. Judging from Marine's move, they obviously didn't expect that they had already acted. I'm afraid Marine's main force will wait for Morgans to tell him the news before acting. Only at that time, I had already gone to Impel Down. When they arrived, Su Mu had already left with the Empress. Thinking of this, Su Mu couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. He was still very worried that Marine would deploy all of his strength on Impel Down ahead of time. Master Su Mu, when do you plan to attack Impel Down? Morgans asked cautiously. Because, this is another breaking news. With the gate of justice guarded, how can I get in? Morgans, do you have a way? Su Mu asked deliberately. The switch of the door of justice can only be operated inside Impel Down, that is the core secret of Marine, and I cannot interfere. Morgans hastily explained. Then why don't you get out? Su Mu said coldly. Yes. Morgans hung up the phone hastily, and then went to have a symbolic business with Marine. Anyway, he will follow up on this news. No matter when Su Mu attacks Impel Down, he will definitely take action within the next few days. There is my news center's stronghold near Impel Down, and I will send a few news birds to watch on the clouds in advance. Morgans clenched his fists, excited, and deployed immediately. In front of the gate of justice, Su Mu took a deep breath and slowly mobilized her body momentum to adjust her body to the peak state. Su Mu, Marco and others have reached the nearby sea area. As long as the door of justice is opened, they can sneak all the way to the Impel Down. Whitebeard received Ace's message and immediately replied to Su Mu. The 9 snake pirates were in place yesterday. Rayleigh also replied. Su Mu entrusts Rayleigh with the task of contacting the 9 snake pirates. Currently, the only pirates he can rely on are these 2, which are still too thin. If this kind of mentality is known to outsiders, I am afraid they will have to roll their eyes at him. A 4 Emperors pirate group plus a Shichibukai pirate group, plus the mystery and combat power of Su Mu itself, this kind of force can walk sideways on the sea. Okay, it's today, right now, the horn to attack Impel Down is sounding. Su Mu flipped his palm, and the heavy Xuanzhong knife appeared in his hand instantly. This knife looks a bit heavy. Whitebeard and Rayleigh felt the boat sinking under their feet, and sighed as they stared at the knife that suddenly appeared in Su Mu's hand. Try. Su Mu threw the heavy sword to Whitebeard. Whitebeard grinned and held out a hand, gently reaching for the knife. Whitebeard was momentarily embarrassed, and he almost missed the knife. Too heavy. If he was prepared, it would be only 2,600 caddies, and he would definitely catch it easily. It's just that he was unprepared and almost lost face in front of the 2 of them. This scene, maybe Su Mu is clear, but Rayleigh is not. Haha, Newgate, are you too old to hold a knife? Rayleigh took the opportunity to tease. HMPH, I was just careless. This knife is not bad, not weaker than my Kong Yunchi. Rayleigh, you are also a knife user, let me play with it. Whitebeard's eyes flashed, and he used a lot of strength secretly, but on the surface it seemed to throw Rayleigh casually. Okay. Rayleigh laughed, just as Whitebeard did just now, reaching out a hand casually to take it. Bang! The Xuanzhong knife slipped from his hand and fell on the boat. Why is it so heavy? Rayleigh marveled, sweat dripping from his brow, extremely embarrassed. Kalalala. Rayleigh, you can't even hold a knife. Whitebeard sneered from the side, avenging the blow just now. Su Mu picked up the Zon heavy saber again, ready to go. Let me try the gates of justice first. Whitebeard clenched his fist, and his shock ability bloomed. He mobilized all the strength in his body, concentrated the shaking force on his fist, and smashed hard at the door of justice. Boom. There was a loud bang from the gate of justice, trembling endlessly. The nearby sea area was hit by the aftermath, setting off huge waves tens of meters high. However, when everything calms down, the gate of justice still stands, unbroken. Sengoku claimed to have the power to destroy the world's shocking ability, and did not open the door of justice. This is the strongest defense known in the world so far. Sure enough, it cannot be opened by humans. Whitebeard sighed, shaking his tingling arm from the shock. Even the strongest attack of the so-called strongest man in the world can't break through. The door of justice is indeed worthy of its name. Su, even my shock ability can't break through, and your knife is even worse. Whitebeard shook his head and sighed, not optimistic about Su. He is one of the ceilings of the world's combat power, and Su is currently inferior to him. What can be done? You can't break it. It doesn't mean I can't. Su said calmly. He held the heavy sword tightly in both hands and held it high above his head. The strength of his whole body was agitated, and the muscles of his two arms swelled, showing all the strength he had obtained in signing for so many years. He wants to use this knife to open the door of justice. Chapter 55 Live. In order to save the Empress, Su, the Ruanfan king, slashes the door of justice. Advertise here. Whitebeard, who is 666 centimeters tall, is a giant to ordinary people, but to the gate of justice, he is like an ant to an elephant. The majestic door of justice, even Whitebeard's destructive shaking ability, could not break it open. One can imagine its hardness and thickness. But Su didn't lose heart at this time, on the contrary aroused his boundless fighting spirit. With the heavy sword in hand, the power of his whole body is ready to be released. Whether he can break through the door of justice seems to be in the next moment. In the sky, among the clouds, a few news birds came quietly. They were ordered by Morgans to be deployed in advance, but a loud noise was heard as soon as they arrived, and then they were blown away by a huge wind. After they managed to stabilize their bodies, they realized that there was a boat and several people in front of the gate of justice. And the huge wind that blows them away just now is the aftermath of Whitebeard's shocking attack on the gate of justice. They quickly took out the phone bugs, turned on the live broadcast equipment, and connected to the headquarters where Morgans was located. What? Su has reached the gate of justice. Morgans yelled in shock when he received the live request. He quickly connected to the live broadcast and saw the picture taken by Newsbird. In front of the majestic gate of justice, there are 3 people standing on a small boat, one of them is holding a big black knife. That's Su. What is he doing with the knife? Morgans was taken aback, and froze in place. Is this guy trying to hack Justice's gate with his knife? Crazy. Morgans looked in disbelief. People with a little common sense would not do this. But it seems that Su is really ready to do it. Hey, thanks to Lousy letting the news bird sit on guard in advance, so I didn't miss such a rare opportunity. Morgans grinned triumphantly, and immediately started operating on the live broadcast management at the headquarters. Su, you provided me with 2 explosive news materials. You don't owe me anything, but this time you want to act secretly, so you are destined to be unable to use it. I'm sorry, I want to broadcast this scene live. If possible in the future, I will make it up to you. Morgans used his media network around the world to start a live broadcast around the world. And the protagonist of the live broadcast is Su in front of the gate of justice. Naval Headquarters. After Sengoku and others received the feedback from Morgans in the conference room, they were formulating a battle plan when suddenly Marine from the information department ran in holding a live phone bug. The light curtain projected by the phone bug is a huge door. In front of the door, Su, Whitebeard, and Rayleigh were clearly captured by high-definition equipment. No, Su and others have arrived at the gate of justice sooner than expected. Marine Vice Admiral Smoker exclaimed. Morgans, bastard, he must have discovered the Empress's prison through his own surveillance equipment, and told Su a long time ago. Sengoku angrily pounded on the conference room table. Sengoku, be quiet. So what if they get to the gate of justice? If they can't get in, everything will be in vain. Crane reminded lightly, which made everyone breathe a sigh of relief. This guy is holding a knife, what is he doing? Aokiji asked puzzled. Maybe, he wants to cut the door of justice. Garp half-jokingly said. Everyone rolled their eyes at him, because he has such a wonderful logical thinking. Anyway, Kizaru and the others have arrived at Impel Down. No matter whether he can pass through the gate of justice or not, our protection is still there. He will never be able to successfully rescue the Empress. Akainu said sharply. Impel Down also has Magellan as a strong player, plus 2 admiral substitutes such as Kizaru and Momonosuke. There are already 4 high-end combatants, and they should be able to defend. Akainu, how could Whitebeard act alone? I guess the Whitebeard pirate group has arrived, and those captains will definitely have no problem entangled Momonosuke and them. Now it seems that our manpower is still at a disadvantage. Crane poured cold water on Akainu. Without further delay, let's set off now, block Su and others from the rear, and form a front and rear pincer attack with Kizaru and others. Sengoku quickly issued an order, and while watching the live broadcast with their phone bugs, everyone rushed out of the meeting room in a hurry, preparing to set off for Impel Down on the Marine warship. World Government, 5 Elders Office. An exclusive phone bug is also projecting a live broadcast. As this Su, what does he want? What are those idiots doing in Marine? Why didn't they arrest him? His knife is not simple. Does this guy want to attack the gate of justice? It's ridiculous to shake a big tree. The five elders were discussing one after another, but they still paid close attention to Suemu's next move. Cake Island. An extremely obese woman is eating dessert. Her son, Katakuri, the leader of the General Star, came, and the phone bug in his hand automatically projected the live broadcast. Katakuri, what are you doing? Don't disturb my dessert. The fat woman looked impatient. Mom, this is the door of justice. It seems that some guy is going to do something amazing. Katakuri said with a little interest, because the title of Morgan's live broadcast was already obvious. In order to save the Empress, the soft rice king Suemu slashed at the door of justice. The title is so intriguing that even Katakuri couldn't resist sharing it with Big Mom. It's boring, and it's not a live broadcast of making desserts. The aunt waved her hand and sent the phone bug flying, not interested at all. Krakana Island. Hawkeye was sitting in front of the table, and in front of him, the projection live broadcast of phone bug had also been turned on. Suemu, the Empress was captured by Marine, how are you going to rescue this time? The door of justice is in the way, are you raising your knife to cut it down? Interesting, I didn't enjoy my battle with you last time. I'm looking forward to the next fight. Hawkeye talked to himself, and his sharp eyes stared at Suemu in the picture. Uncle, what are you talking to yourself? A girl in a gothic dress, a high hat, big eyes, a face like a doll, and long pink hair floated beside Hawkeye like a ghost and asked. Perona, take your hair away, don't block my view. Hawkeye said dissatisfied. HMPH, you know you're mean to me. You don't care about that guy outside, he's going to fight with his life, and he'll be killed by those baboons sooner or later. Perona pouted, looking very cute when she was angry. If he can't even pass the baboon level, he is not qualified to be a swordsman. Hawkeye said indifferently, not caring about the green-haired guy outside. It's so annoying, every time I have to drag the dying him back to heal his injuries. Perona yelled angrily, and flew out to look for that green algae head angrily. Seas, kingdoms, towns, islands. As long as there are live broadcast equipment conditions, they are watching this live broadcast at this time. As that guy holding the sword the Ruanfan king. It's ridiculous, he even tried to cut open the door of justice. This Ruanfan Wang looks a bit handsome, the type one like. Wait and see how he makes a fool of himself. Marine is going to catch him, he is not worthy of Boa Hancock. You're so handsome, I want to give birth to Ruanfan Wang. All over the world, there is a lot of discussion, both men and women are paying close attention to this live broadcast. But Suemu didn't realize at this time that he had already become the focus of the world's attention. He was the absolute protagonist, the best male number one. Chapter 56. Smashing the Gate of Justice. Advertise here. At the gates of justice. A small boat backed away slowly. At the bow of the boat, Suemu held a mysterious heavy knife, staring at the gate of justice high above the clouds with frantic eyes. The boat retreated to a slow stop at 3 nautical miles, and Whitebeard and Rayleigh retreated to the stern to make room for Suemu. With such a long distance, are you sure you want to use slash? Rayleigh questioned Suemu. My shock ability is only about 3 nautical miles away, and the world's number one swordsman Hawkeye's slash may not have a distance of 3 nautical miles. Whitebeard echoed. Apparently, Whitebeard also didn't understand why Suemu took such a long distance. The number one swordsman in the world. Haha, I'm afraid that after today, he will become the number 2 in the world. Suemu laughed from the bow of the boat. Laughter is rampant. Haki has a temperament that is all about me. This is the madness of a swordsman, and it is also the embodiment of a person with a strong sword heart. Hawkeye raised the corners of his mouth before the live broadcast projection, and his eyes were radiant. He was not angry because of Suemu's arrogance, but hoped that Suemu would make an amazing move. In the World Government Building, the 5 elders holding the 12 Crafts Supreme Sword narrowed his eyes, and the Generation Ghost in his hand glowed with a bewitching coldness. On the Marine warship, Sengoku and others stared closely at Suemu in the picture. Although they still believed that Suemu could not open the door of justice, they were shocked by Suemu's aura. He's much stronger than last time at Naval Headquarters. Aokiji commented seriously. Suemu took a deep breath, and the power in her body continued to send power to her arms until all the power was sent to the back of her arms. Mysterious heavy sword, the golden light appears, the great way prospers, and the sky breaks. While Suemu chanted loudly, the Zon heavy saber in his hand slashed out from top to bottom. A vertical golden road appeared, jumped out from the tip of the Xuanzhong knife, and moved forward on the sea, shining golden light on the sea area. The golden avenue is the slash of the mysterious heavy sword, which is cast with special golden energy with the help of the special material of the blade. The golden avenue is not like other slashing swiftness, everyone can see the vertical golden avenue extending from the small boat to the gate of justice. When the golden road burst out from the tip of the Xuanzhong knife, it was just a point, but when it reached the gate of justice, its width had reached an astonishing width of several nautical miles, almost comparable in height to the gate of justice. The boulevard of golden light crashed into the gate of justice, without the violent crash as imagined. After the door of justice shook slightly, it stood there quietly. Haha. Overestimated his abilities, he really can't do it. Don't be ashamed, get out. In the live broadcast room, some people started to laugh. On the marine warship, Aokiji frowned and said, I feel that knife is extremely dangerous, but unfortunately, it still can't open the door of justice. Aokiji, do you still expect him to succeed? Akainu asked with a cold face. Hawkeye stared at Sumu motionlessly, those eyes that seemed to see through everything, as if saying, it's not over yet. Really? Sumu flipped his palm, and a blue vial appeared in his hand. Stamina Restorer. One bottle can instantly restore his physical strength to its peak state. Even, there is still a spare part of the physical strength left. He directly drank all the liquid in the blue bottle, and the moment the bottle was thrown out, the Xuanzhong saber swung extremely quickly to the right, pulling his body like a bow. Mysterious heavy sword, Jin Guangyao, Great Way, Justice. Su Mu yelled again, and the Xuanzhong saber slashed horizontally. Another golden road. This time, the golden avenue spread horizontally, as if it was a real avenue, extending to the gate of justice. It's useless, the door of justice is too thick, and it's impossible to break through it with human power. On the marine warship, there was Vice Admiral laughing. In the World Government Building, the sword-wielding five elders tightly held Yidai Gush in his hand, his expression solemn. His intuition told him that this person was terrifying. Hawkeye still stared intently, those eyes seemed to have a premonition again that Su Mu had another move. As predicted, behind Su Mu, a pair of transparent demon wings appeared. Call out. While waving his wings, he stepped on the golden road, his body broke through the speed of sound, as if piercing through the air, and flew towards the gate of justice. Why is he flying all of a sudden? Could it be moonwalk? Marine Vice Admiral Smoker asked. Unlike, moonwalk needs to rely on the reaction force of the air to make steps. He obviously doesn't have these movements. Is it similar to Golden Lion's fluttering ability? Aokiji also made a voice of doubt. Golden Lion's flying ability is not so fast. You see, when Su Mu was flying, his body rubbed the air into flames. This speed is not much worse than the speed of sound. Sengoku commented. While they were talking, Su Mu had already stepped on the golden road to the gate of justice. The horizontal golden road hit the gate of justice, causing the gate of justice to vibrate slightly before disappearing completely. Haha, no matter how many knives you chop, it's useless. Today's jokes are all taken up by him alone. I have to thank Ruanfen Wang for making me wait so happily. Those who ridiculed were happier, and Su Mu was deflated, as if it was their greatest pursuit at this time. It's not over yet, Su Mu, haven't you given up yet? Hawkeye looked at Su Mu who had leapt to the gate of justice, shook his head and sighed. The door of justice is unbreakable, not just talk. He admitted that even he was ashamed of Su Mu's golden road slash. But so what, facing the door of justice is still useless. Su Mu slashed twice, and the gate of justice only shook a little before calming down, and it is still intact today. With his sharp eyes, what would happen if he didn't see Su Mu again this time, as if he had predicted Su Mu's failure? On Su Mu's face, the whistling wind sounded like a knife. However, his eyes are still bright, without any discouragement. Although the strength of his body was almost exhausted, he smiled. He reached out and turned it over, and the heavy sword disappeared and returned to the system backpack. The next moment, his conqueror's haki swept through. He clenched his fist, and the high-level armament haki was wrapped around his fist. Even the released mid-level conqueror's haki was pulled by him with difficulty and mixed into the armament haki. His fist, red and black, armament haki and conqueror's haki began to merge. The door of justice, Talauzi, break. Su Mu drank loudly. The fist moved forward without hesitation, with the temperament of seeing death as home, and attacked fiercely at the intersection of the two golden roads of slashing. Boom. There was a loud bang, and the door of justice shook endlessly. In the midst of the smog, everyone saw two golden lights flashing on the gate of justice. A vertical, a horizontal, like a cross. This is the reappearance of the two golden roads that Su Mu slashed out just now. Lights up from within the gates of justice. Click. There was a terrible sound from the gate of justice. Everyone was shocked to find that the little guy in front of the door of justice smashed open the stalwart door of justice with his indomitable fist. On the towering gate of justice, the cross-like golden light grew bigger and bigger, and it was directly divided into 4 pieces under Su Mu's fist. Plop plop. The gates of justice are broken. The two huge fragments of the gate of justice above fell into the sea, causing huge waves, and engulfed the little one who was weak due to exhaustion of physical strength and haki in the midair of the gate of justice. Chapter 57 Is Su Mu dead? Advertise here. The gate of justice collapsed, huge pieces fell into the sea, and the splashing waves engulfed Su Mu. Oops, Rayleigh, hurry up. Whitebeard urged anxiously before he could be shocked. Su Mu used the Zon heavy saber twice in a row, and punched the gate of justice. His physical strength and haki were all exhausted. This is the time when he is at his weakest. And the huge waves are so huge that submerging him and sinking into the sea is fatal to a capable user. Whitebeard is anxious because he is also a person with abilities and cannot dive into the sea to rescue him, so he can only rely on Rayleigh. Rayleigh jumped and dived into the sea, swimming towards the monstrous waves. The live broadcast was silent. Before everyone's eyes, it seemed that they were still at the moment when the gate of justice collapsed. It's too shocking. The great door of justice, the indestructible door of justice, was smashed into pieces by human power today. This is like a picture from the Arabian Nights, deeply impacting everyone's visual nerves. I read it right. Couldn't this be Morgan's putting on a show? Smoker opened his mouth wide, and the cigar that had been sticking to his lips fell down because of the shock. Don't lie to yourself, that's the real door of justice. Sengoku's face darkened, obviously under great pressure. Who is Su Mu? After being shocked, he became extremely curious about Su Mu's identity. There is no strong person for no reason, and there will definitely be traces of all this. Sengoku made a secret decision in his heart. When Impel Down happened, no matter whether the Empress was finally rescued or not, he must thoroughly find out Su Mu's identity. Otherwise, how can you feel at ease? As a demon fruit power, when he collapsed, he was swept into the sea by huge waves, and his life was in danger. Rayleigh went to rescue at this time. Can we send the strong Impel Down to take the opportunity to kill Su Mu completely? Akainu was extremely calm at this time, and when everyone was shocked, he had already come up with a plan to kill Su Mu. Even Crane Vice Admiral couldn't help showing appreciation for his words. Okay, the phone bugs contact Kizaru, Momonosuke, and T-Pigs, let them go to the Gate of Justice, and take the opportunity to kill Su Mu. Sengoku immediately took Akainu's suggestion and issued a battle order. In the World Government Building, the five elders glanced at each other, and they all saw solemnity and a trace of uneasiness in each other's eyes. Su Mu's temperament makes me flustered, and my blood is in turmoil. His identity may not be as simple as it appears. Yes, this feeling makes me uncomfortable, as if it was born in the blood, passed down from our celestial dragon's ancestors to the present. That's right, I have the same feeling. Su Mu's identity is very suspicious and should be thoroughly investigated immediately. Not only do we need to investigate thoroughly, it seems that someone among us needs to meet him in person to confirm who he is. Let's hope he's not what we feared, or the celestial dragon's dominance will start to falter again. The five elders looked worried. They were one of the few who knew the truth about the 100 Years Blank, and the war between the D-race and the world government before the 100 Years Blank. Celestial dragons, who claim to be gods, are most afraid of the D-clan. They are the natural enemies of God. They kill gods. In front of the Gate of Justice, the waves are churning, but they are still not calm. However, the guy who smashed the door of justice with human power disappeared and was pulled into the sea by huge waves. Behind the empty Justice Gate is Impel Down, the great underwater prison. At this time, a marine warship was setting sail, heading towards the broken door of justice. Behind the gateway of justice, Whitebeard stands on the boat, also sprinting forward, holding a phone bug. Marco, Ace, quickly search for Su Mu's whereabouts on the bottom of the sea. Whitebeard ordered. However, Ace's voice came immediately. Father, the door of justice fell into the sea, and the impact of the huge waves was too strong. All the coatings on our ship were broken by the impact, and we couldn't hold on to the bottom of the water. This meeting will come out of the water. It's troublesome. Ace, tell the non-capable people who are familiar with water to continue searching in the sea, and everyone else will come out and pass the Gate of Justice to Impel Down. Whitebeard looked at the marine warship approaching from the direction of Impel Down, and immediately gave orders. After a while, dozens of pirate ships sprung up from the sea like mushrooms after rain, quickly passed through the broken Gate of Justice, and greeted the marine warship. The war broke out ahead of schedule. The Whitebeard pirates, and a small part of Marine's main force, broke out in battle before Impel Down. This is the second large-scale war between the Whitebeard pirates and Marine in a few months, and everyone in the live broadcast couldn't help but wonder. Whitebeard is not a vegetarian. Yoli, Whitebeard, I didn't expect you to come here early. Whitebeard, who was rushing to Impel Down, was stopped by a slightly lazy voice when he reached the broken Gate of Justice. In midair, a golden light flashed, and a middle-aged man wearing yellow striped clothes, round glasses, and a beard full of stubble appeared. Yoli, it's terrible, the door of justice is broken. The middle-aged man looked at the empty Gate of Justice with a slightly shocked expression on his face, but he was much calmer than the others. After he received a call from Sengoku and heard the news that the Gate of Justice was chopped by Su Mu, he only said symbolically. Oh, that's terrible. Then, it's gone. Kizaru, we didn't expect that the Marines would ambush and Impel Down ahead of time, but it seems that not all of them came. Whitebeard grinned and said, Kulalalala, how could you stop me by yourself? Whitebeard has the capital of arrogance. During the Summit War, he was terminally ill and could make Admiral into a mess. Now, he has returned to the top. No matter who he faces, he has absolute confidence. Sengoku and the others will arrive later. I will complete the task if I hold you back. Kizaru didn't gamble hard. He knew Whitebeard's strength very well. Even if he tried his best, he couldn't fight Whitebeard head on. Besides, why bother? Kizaru's creed in life is to take a leisurely walk. So, he lifts his leg and the lightspeed kick goes right at Whitebeard. If he was facing a newcomer, he would definitely pretend to be coercive and say, have you ever been kicked by the speed of light? Whitebeard lifted from Yunch, blocking the bare leg in front of him. The Admiral vs 4 Emperors battle broke out in the shocking eyes of everyone. This is the first time many people have seen the Admiral and 4 Emperors battle. And inside the Gate of Justice, before Impel Down, Momonosuke and Ace are fighting, and the T-Dolphin is stopped by Marco. Marine's other vice-admirals were fighting with the captains of the Whitebeard Regiment, and Marine's thousands of elites were surrounded by pirates under the command of the Whitebeard Pirate Regiment, and a fierce battle took place. The Whitebeard pirates were stopped by Marine. Whitebeard, too, was temporarily stopped by the nimble and quick Kizaru. The difference in strength between generals and emperors is actually very small, and it often takes several days of fighting to decide the winner. Even if the previous Garp and Sengoku teamed up, it would take 3 days to capture the Golden Lion. And Whitebeard and Luogia also fought for 3 days and 3 nights without a winner. At this time, Kizaru, although not desperate, has absolutely no problem stopping Whitebeard for half an hour. During this period of time, Sengoku and others were able to come to Impel Down and take advantage of the strength of Marine's all-out force to flank Whitebeard back and forth. Rayleigh kept poking his head out of the sea and diving down to find Su Mu, but he found nothing. Su Mu was swept into the sea by a big wave and seemed to disappear. This made him worry. Falling into Ultimate's weakness, Su Mu didn't even have the strength to move, and fell into the sea, which made him even worse as a capable person. Time passed, half an hour passed quietly in the blink of an eye, and Su Mu still did not appear. Master Su Mu, are you dead? Sabayati Archipelago, Shaki's Tavern, 2 mermaid girls asked tearfully. Not only them, almost everyone thinks that Su Mu has been buried in the sea and died. Chapter 58 The Final Meeting with the Empress. Advertise here. Half an hour ago, at the Gate of Justice, huge waves hit and submerged the extremely weak Su Mu. His body didn't have the strength to move at all, allowing the big waves to sink him into the sea. The price of smashing the door of justice is too high. Su Mu's body is strong and not afraid of huge waves, but it doesn't mean he can breathe in water. If no one came to rescue him for a long time, he would be unable to bear it and die in the sea. This time is a few minutes for ordinary people, but it may be 10 minutes for Su Mu. But at this time, the waves were rough, and even if Rayleigh came quickly, the distance of 3 nautical miles and finding himself in the waves would be too much. Thinking of this, Su Mu couldn't help but smile helplessly. Could it be that you want to implement the resurrection ability on yourself? But the point is, he doesn't have the physical strength to support himself to use the power of resurrection. Desperate. He is now facing a new desperate situation of life and death. However, there is an idiom. Survival from a desperate situation. Ding. Sign into the Gate of Justice. Strength plus 10, speed plus 10, body strength plus 10, combat awareness plus 10. Additional rewards include 2 bottles of stamina recovery potion, 2 bottles of hockey recovery potion, and 1 bottle of devil fruit ability enhancement potion, advanced level, for use below, an intermediate sword manual for inexplicable swordsmanship. In Su Mu's mind, the voice of the system sounded. This is the new life. Although Su Mu's body couldn't move, his mind and consciousness were clear. Therefore, as long as he has a thought, he can immediately take out a bottle of stamina recovery potion from the system backpack. However, embarrassment came. He couldn't even move his limbs, let alone unscrew the blue bottle of stamina recovery potion. This can really suffocate people. However, although Su Mu couldn't move his body, his eyes could still move. Fortunately, he also has a fruit ability. Eye fruit. When using it, it mainly consumes mental power, which is simply a timely help for him at present. Although being in the sea suppresses his abilities, it is not a problem at all to smash an ordinary bottle. With an idea, Su Mu took out the stamina recovery potion from the system backpack, and put a little bit in his mouth. Then used the eye ability directly. Skyfire. The black flame precisely covered the lid of the blue bottle, and easily burned the lid to nothingness. The stamina recovery potion from the blue bottle was automatically poured into Su Mu's mouth. A warm current swept across his whole body, and the dry muscles and blood vessels were immediately moisturized, full of vitality and new life. Shush. Su Mu, who recovered her strength, couldn't help but let out a satisfied sigh. He continued to eat a bottle of hockey restoration potion and devil fruit ability enhancement potion, which acted on the eye and eye ability, raising his eye and eye fruit ability to the intermediate level. Morgans that bastard, dare to make a good idea to broadcast me live. This account will be settled with you after Hancock is saved. Su Mu thought to himself underwater. He has regained his strength now and is perfectly fine for a short time in the water. It seems that there is a marine warship coming from the direction of Impel Down. Could it be that Marine has deployed some people in advance? Su Mu's knowledge color has reached a high level, and he can perceive the marine warship that is coming rapidly from Impel Down even underwater. But at this time, he smiled. And thanks to Morgans. Because of the live broadcast, Naval Headquarters must know his every move, and he must also know the picture of being swept into the sea by big waves when he was extremely weak. Therefore, Naval Headquarters will ambush the Marine in Impel Down at this time and rush to prevent Rayleigh and Whitebeard from saving themselves and completely kill themselves. In doing so, though, the Marine on Impel Down is empty. Only the original defenders of Impel Down remained. Since Shiryu of the Rain left, Magellan is the only strongman in Impel Down. Hey, it's better to make a plan. You are here to fight, and I will go to Impel Down to rescue Hancock first and then have fun with you. Su Mu was considered a cautious person, and immediately had a plan in mind. Space cage. With just one thought in Su Mu, the shrunken version of the space cage sealed itself inside, preventing the sea water from eroding in. Devil wings. Outside the space cage, a pair of transparent wings grew. While the wings of the devil were flapping, Su Mu was at the bottom of the sea, heading straight down towards Impel. Even, on the way, he crossed the marine warship. Of course, one is on the bottom of the sea and the other is on the sea surface, with a difference of thousands of meters in sea depth. Inside the Gate of Justice, the Whitebeard Regiment is fighting fiercely with the Marine led by Momonosuke. Kizaru and Whitebeard are fighting and retreating. Rayleigh is still looking for Su Mu in the sea. On the side of Impel Down, where no one has noticed, Su Mu's the head finally emerged from the sea. He jumped up from the sea, looked in the direction of the Gate of Justice, then turned around and walked towards Impel Down. At the gate of Impel Down, Hannibal, as acting director, happened to be here with the Beast Jailer. Not long ago, he personally sent Admiral Kizaru and others from naval headquarters to hunt down and kill Su Mu at the Gate of Justice on a warship, and the meeting has not left yet. Who are you? Hannibal asked. He didn't watch the live broadcast, and he didn't know that this man was Su Mu. I was sent by the world government to pick up the pirate Empress to Mariajoy. Where is the Empress being imprisoned? Su Mu spoke directly, looking very calm. Didn't the people from world government arrive tomorrow? Hannibal rubbed his head and asked in confusion. The world government learned that Su Mu will come to attack Impel Down in advance, and sent me to respond first just in case. Why don't you tell me the exact location of the Empress? Su Mu's tone was domineering, with a reproachful tone, and looked superior. In his eyes, the pupils began to change, spinning like a windmill. Illusion. Su Mu took the opportunity to use the ability of eyes, and the illusion acted on Hannibal's body, allowing Hannibal, who was already weak in mind, to be directly attacked. It turns out that the adults sent by the world government have worked hard all the way. Hannibal will take you to find the Empress. Hannibal's eyes were blurred, and he acted according to Su Mu's wishes. With a big wave of his hand, he opened the gate of Impel Down, leading Su Mu all the way unimpeded. As the acting director, he is already the biggest official in Impel Down. Except for Magellan, the deputy director who was demoted by Marine, and Sadie and a few others who have a little restraint on him, others dare not look at him at all. From the LV1 floor to the LV5 floor, all the way is unimpeded. Finally, when we reached the LV6 floor, Hannibal took Su Mu to the deepest point and came to the innermost cell on the LV6 floor. This is where the pirate Empress Boa Hancock is held, and now I'll leave it to you to bring back Mariajoy. Hannibal is still under the illusion, and everything he does is an illusion deliberately created by Su Mu in his mind. He opened the door of the cell, but stood quietly at the door of the cell like a guard. Su Mu clenched her fists nervously, finally waiting for this moment. From hearing that the Empress was arrested to now, it took nearly 10 days. Everything he planned was almost realized now. He stepped into the cell, looking forward to seeing the woman he had been thinking about day and night. However, what caught his eye was that his feet were locked by heavy seastone anklets, a seastone bomb collar was hanging around his neck, the corners of his mouth were still bloodlined, and his arms were lying softly, obviously broken. The Empress seems to have been severely punished, and she looks very miserable. Hancock. Su Mu shouted, and hurried over. Husband. Jun. The Empress raised her head, her hair was disheveled, she forced a smile, and said weakly, I know you will definitely come. Seeing the Empress's appearance, Su Mu felt extremely distressed and extremely angry. I'm going to tear you into pieces. Su Mu embraced the Empress, her voice was cold. Chapter 59 Killing Hannibal, Fighting Magellan. Advertise here. Hugging the weak Empress in his arms, Su Mu's body trembled as anger filled his whole body. He was angry that someone tortured the Empress, and he also blamed himself for coming too late. In fact, even if he knew that the Empress had been arrested, it would be too late for him to come, because the Empress was severely tortured within 2 days of being arrested. Ding ding ding. Su Mu drew his sword, flashing light, cut off the seastone handcuffs on the Empress' arms and legs. He held the seastone bomb collar around the Empress's neck, and the high-level armament hockey circulated it, and easily took off the collar. This point, even if he was extremely angry, he still would not be careless. Because the bomb handcuffs of the collar can only be taken away perfectly by keys and advanced armament hockey, if violence is used, the collar bomb will explode. The consequences were unimaginable. Even if Su Mu can revive the Empress, she doesn't want her to suffer. Husband, you have worked hard. The Empress was hugged by Princess Su Mu, and she was weak and thanked Su Mu with difficulty. Do not talk. Su Mu covered the Empress's pale lips with her mouth, and kissed her tenderly. In his body, the power of resurrection followed Su Mu's mouth this time and directly entered the body of the Empress. The power of resurrection has a miraculous body repair function, whether it is an injury or a disease, it can be completely cured. Su Mu kissed the Empress and did not separate for a long time, until the power of resurrection filled the Empress's body. He gently opened his mouth, rubbed the Empress's head, and said softly, Hey, sleep peacefully, and leave the rest to me. He picked up the Empress and walked out of the prison. At the door of the cell, Hannibal woke up from the illusion because of Su Mu's anger, and was about to gather people to arrest Su Mu, but he saw Su Mu's cold eyes. Call out. The intermediate level II fruit ability was activated, and the illusion attacked again, making Hannibal fall into an illusion, at the mercy of Su Mu. I ask you, who tortured Hancock? Su Mu asked coldly. Me. Hannibal replied mechanically. Who ordered you? Su Mu asked again. World government and marine. Hannibal answered truthfully. Wouldn't the world government be achieved tomorrow? Why did you execute the Empress early? Who in the marine instructed you? Su Mu continued to ask. The world government and marine wanted to know your whereabouts, so they tortured the Empress, but she didn't say anything. The person in marine who instructed me was Admiral, a tealfish candidate. He said that it was the order of the world government, and I had to obey it. Hannibal answered all questions. He was controlled by Su Mu's illusion, and unconsciously told all he knew. Dolphin. World government. Very good. It seems that you didn't feel any pain at all a few days ago. The cold light in Su Mu's eyes was intense, making Hannibal beside him shiver. The sword light flickered, and Hannibal's head fell to the ground. Su Mu strode out from the LV6 floor and walked towards the upper floor. At this moment, the sirens sounded throughout Impel Down, and the abnormal behavior of Hannibal letting Su Mu straight to the LV6 floor was detected and attracted Magellan's attention. He regained the power of Impel Down and took Sati-chan and all the beast jailers to intercept Su Mu. Starting from the LV5 layer, each layer has blocks. First of all, Su Mu met the beast jailers. They obeyed Sati-chan's order and found the LV5 floor for containment. However, Su Mu only had anger in his heart. He wanted to go out and kill the Dolphin, and then settle the score with the world government. So facing the swarming beast jailers, Su Mu showed great momentum, and Conqueror's Haki rushed over. The powerful beast jailers were trembling, and they stopped running immediately, looking at Su Mu in fear. Su Mu's face was expressionless, and Haki showed in his eyes. He had the majesty of a king, which was the most deterrent to beasts like jailers who feared the strong. Without stopping, he walked through the prison guards and came to the stairs leading to the LV4 floor. Boom boom boom. Su Mu went up the stairs and came to the LV4 floor. Sati-chan, with a voluptuous figure and flaming red lips, was standing at the stairs, waving the taming whip in his hand, making the floor crack. This is a signal release to the beast jailer, and it is also a deterrent. Behind her, the beast jailer swarmed towards Su Mu. Even though Su Mu's eyes were cold and murderous, the beast jailer seemed to be more afraid of the whip in Sati-chan's hand. Behind Su Mu, the beast jailer on level 5 was also forced to rush towards him by the sound of the whip. Forget it, since it blocks the way, it is destined to be cleared. Su Mu twirled the streamer sword in his hand, and the sword light was wanton, filling the entire space. The streamer is wanton. Those beast jailers fell to the ground in the sword light, covering the entire LV4 floor. Sati-chan's eyes widened under the light of the sword, and the tight uniform on his body was smashed to pieces. Su Mu walked by. Sati-chan fell to the ground, horrified in his heart, and his mind was roaring. Too fast. This man is so fast. Before she could react, it was over. Su Mu walked to the LV3 floor, which is where the office of Impel Down is located. Magellan just finished squatting in the toilet and was just waiting there. You just say Su Mu, the soft rice king. The man of the pirate Empress. Magellan is like a big mountain, blocking the passage to LV2. Su Mu didn't answer, and continued to walk towards the passage where Magellan was. Is Hannibal dead? Where's Sati-chan? Magellan asked again. What do you think? Su Mu asked back. That boy Hannibal should be dead, but Sati-chan seems to be still alive. Magellan had a good perception, and was able to sense that Sati-chan in the lower layer still had breath. Su Mu didn't answer, but still walked towards Magellan firmly without stopping. Husband, Magellan has the ability of poisonous fruit, you have to be careful. The Empress reminded Su Mu's body. It's okay, my husband's strength is far beyond your imagination. Didn't I let you sleep for a while? Just leave it to me. Su Mu said softly. The Empress obediently put her head into Su Mu's neck, her whole face pressed against Su Mu's neck, looking very intimate. Su Mu felt her body go numb, but she was addicted to it. It's been more than a month, and he really misses Hancock a little bit. Seeing that he was being ignored, Magellan stopped talking nonsense and attacked Su Mu directly. Poisonous blowfish. Magellan opened his mouth wide, and spit out poisonous bubbles one by one, surrounding Su Mu. Disgusting. Su Mu rolled her eyes. Stretch out your hand, the space ability explodes. Space pistol. The space bullets burst the poisonous bubbles one after another, crackling like setting off firecrackers. It's a weird ability, and it's exactly as the message said. If that's the case, then I'll keep you here. Poison dragon. Magellan's body began to change, and 3 huge poisonous dragons rushed out from behind, bending and raising their terrifying heads in midair. The poisonous fruit of Paramesha, if you touch it, you will be poisoned. But, do you think these 3 dragons can touch a single hair of mine? Su Mu smiled lightly and walked towards Magellan fearlessly. Chapter 60 Su Mu returns. Advertise here. On Magellan's body, 3 huge purple poisonous dragons rose from the sky, hovering in midair, staring at Su Mu. The toxicity of this kind of poisonous dragon is more ferocious, and it also has strength. Often a dragon can sweep away an enemy, and its bloody mouth can swallow several people in one bite. Before the Summit War, the Blackbeard pirates took advantage of the chaos to attack Impel Down, and wanted to choose a vicious criminal from the LV6 layer as a companion, and met Magellan on the way. He just used a poisonous dragon to directly kill all the Blackbeard pirates. Had it not been for Shiryu of the Rain's rebellion to get the antidote, the Blackbeard pirates would have capsized in the gutter, and there would be no further incidents. However, Su Mu is completely fearless because of the Devil Fruit ability. Blackbeard and others do not have the Devil Fruit ability of long-range attack, so they will inevitably touch the poisonous dragon, and it is inevitable to be poisoned in the end. But Su Mu's fruit ability, no matter which one, is fearless. The power of resurrection can continuously repair the erosion of toxicity. The space ability offensive and defensive equipment does not need Su Mu to touch the poisonous dragon, let alone the eye ability. This is the particularity of mutual restriction or restraint of fruit abilities. Ace was killed by Akainu. In addition to lack of strength, the fruit ability is also an important reason. With the Empress on her back, Su Mu walked towards Magellan with steady steps. Only by crossing Magellan can she go up the stairs from the stairs. A poisonous dragon, Magellan whispered. A huge purple dragon rushed towards Su Mu quickly, trying to swallow him with its mouth wide open. Space barrier. Su Mu waved his hand, and a transparent barrier appeared in front of him. Boom. The poisonous dragon hit the barrier, and the dragon's head shattered directly. The purple venom covered the transparent barrier, but it did not corrode the barrier. But Su Mu was still a little surprised. Magellan's poisonous dragon impact was so powerful, stronger than the average Shichibukai. Su Mu's space barrier is a similar version of the space cage, with powerful protective functions. When the space ability reaches the middle level, this barrier can be broken by an Admiral-level combat force in one blow, but can withstand 10 hits by a Shichibukai-level force. And now, Su Mu's space ability has reached a high level through the Devil Fruit ability enhancer, and the protection of this space barrier has more than doubled. For the Emperor, it can withstand a single blow without breaking. For ordinary Shichibukai-level combat power, it can still be strong even if it is subjected to 20 fierce attacks. But Su Mu feels that Magellan's poisonous dragon impact may be able to break through this barrier 10 times. It's just that the purple venom is currently unable to corrode the space barrier. 3 poisonous dragons. On Magellan's body, a dragon grew again. 3 purple dragons rushed towards Su Mu again. Boom boom boom. There were 3 loud bangs, and the result was the same as last time. But Magellan didn't seem to be discouraged. The venom on his body condensed again, and 3 poisonous dragons grew again. He seemed to be able to feel that as long as he attacked a few more times, he could smash this invisible space barrier. Do you really think I won't fight back? Su Mu said coldly while pushing the space barrier forward. He raised his hand, and a silver slender knife appeared in his hand. 21 Gong Dakue Dao Reikiri. Su Mu seldom uses it because the flowing sword is more convenient to use. But at this time, Su Mu, who has a high combat awareness, naturally knows that Reikiri's effect is more suitable for dealing with Magellan. Su Mu swung the saber, the blade was shining silver, and a slash rushed out, accompanied by a dazzling arc. This is Reikiri. The slash has its own lightning attribute. Although it is not as exaggerated as Enel, it is also very uncomfortable for ordinary physical bodies to be hit. The lightning slash directly smashed a poisonous dragon, and the silver arc spread along the body of the poisonous dragon towards Magellan at a high speed. Zzz. Magellan's body trembled, and the place where the arc hit, his body began to turn into poison, and he couldn't recover for a few seconds. Thunder and lightning are born with a strong restraint effect on these filthy substances. When Magellan was shaken, Su Mu swiped 2 sabers and then 2 lightning strikes, decapitating the other 2 poisonous dragons. The lightning arc struck Magellan along the dragon's body. Magellan's eyes widened, and he hastily amputated the Duran's body, cutting off the arc's route towards him. His eyes were serious. His powerful poisonous dragon did not pose any threat to Su Mu. Poison giant soldier Hell Judgment. Magellan became ruthless and used the ultimate move. His body began to change and his size became even bigger, like a Shinigami from hell. Even the color of the body's poison began to change, from purple to bright red. This means that the toxicity is more violent, and touching it will not only cause you to be poisoned, but also corroded. This terrifying toxicity can corrode even stone walls and steel, let alone a human body. He is confident that this kind of toxicity can directly corrode Su Mu's space barrier. And this huge giant Shinigami-like poisonous monster is not afraid of the slightest electric arc. In the hands of the poison giant, there is a huge poison knife made of condensed venom, and the black armament hockey glows in the bright red venom. Magellan controlled the poison giant, stepped towards Su Mu, raised the huge poison knife and slashed at Su Mu. Is it only you who can make a big man? Su Mu sneered. God of War armor. Su Mu drank lightly, and his eyes bloomed. His eyes began to change, the pupils turned red, a black dot appeared inside, and then 3 Tomo-like dots appeared outside the black dot. Immediately afterwards, the 3-hook jade point was spinning, and it was getting faster and faster. In the next instant, the pupils changed again, and the 3-hook jade spots became like 3 night feng shui. After the eyes changed, a huge red Shinigami stood up outside Su Mu's body. This giant Shinigami is a power armor and it has 4 hands. In one hand he holds a peculiar sword. One hand holds a shield. The other two drew their bows, and a terrifying energy arrow was ready to go. This is the state of Su Mu's god of war armor, and today is the first time he uses it. Su Mu leapt high and came directly to the forehead of the god of war armor, looking down at Magellan on the ground. What ability is this? Magellan asked in horror. It is even bigger than his poison giant, and seems to be more threatening. Just a big guy. Magellan, let's see if your Hell's Judgment collides with my Ares armor. Who will win? Su Mu smiled slightly, mobilized her eyes again, and commanded the god of war armor to rush towards Magellan. Impel down. It's been half an hour since Su Mu disappeared. Rayleigh is anxiously looking for in the sea. Whitebeard is stalked by Kizaru to play gorilla, very annoying. Ace, Marco and others, and even the 9 snake pirates who came behind, were also blocked by the Marine Vice Admiral and the elites led by Momonosuke and the T-Dolphin. For half an hour, a small part of Marine's main force was fully able to carry it. Only half an hour later, the main force led by Sengoku will be able to make dumplings for Whitebeard and others, and Marine will regain the advantage at that time. Moreover, after half an hour passed, there was no news of Su Mu, which made everyone think that something happened to Su Mu and he was dead. This result boosted Marine's morale, while Whitebeard and others were like ants on a hot pot. Suddenly, Impel Down made a sound, followed by loud noises. Everyone followed the sound and found that the floors above the Impel Down sea began to collapse, and a giant red Shinigami stood mighty, with 4 hands, holding a sword, bow and shield. At the feet of the red giant, Magellan lay on the ground, dead or alive. And at the eyebrows of the giant red Shinigami, a tall man with a woman behind his back looked at everyone with contempt. That's Su Mu. Su Mu is not dead, he is back. Behind Su Mu is the pirate Empress. He has rescued the Empress. Whether it was Marine, Whitebeard, etc., or the audience before the live broadcast, they were all shocked. After disappearing for half an hour, Su Mu, who everyone thought was dead, unexpectedly returned miraculously.